What's up? Ghost Fictions is here and we're back again. This is a story where Issei was betrayed and was the reincarnation of Zalgo. But before we start, please consider subscribe to the channel and give this video a like. Don't forget to check the description for more informations. Now, let's get into part 3. Outside Haidu residence, 7 p.m. Issei walked inside the residence as Zalgo spoke. Zalgo. Issei, I would suggest you to not go inside. Issei. Why? Zalgo. As demons, you should have picked up on the negative energy, right? Issei. I did, that is why I am going inside. I hope that everything is fine. Zalgo. If you say so, then again, we are with you. Greg was the next to speak. Greg. I as well, we are with you. Issei. Alright. Here goes. Issei opened the door. As he did, he felt a slap on his face right away, as he was completely shocked. He was completely confused as to why he had received a slap. Miki had a neutral look as she slapped her own son. A shocked Issei wondered what happened, as Issei. Issei. Mother. Miki. Don't call me that. I know what you did. Issei recovered from the slap. He saw both his parents angrily glaring towards him as he spoke. Issei. What did I do? Boru. You raped Kadis and Murayama, didn't you? Boru was the next to yell towards Issei as Issei spoke. Issei. What? Dad, Issei tried to explain that he was innocent. He knew that this was the girl's doing, again, as Miki spoke. Miki. Not a word from you, Issei. Issei. Mom, at least hear me out, I am innocent. Boru. Don't lie to us. Do you know what it feels like every day to be looked down upon your neighbors? Show the proof, Miki. Miki showed 2 undergarment image, as well as some traces of fluid on the bathroom. Issei was shocked. He had an idea that they must have considered this body fluids that are triggered during sexual times. Boru. I wanted to not believe in them, but the principal brought me this proof. Every day, people talk behind our back. Because of what you did. Issei was shocked by his father's outburst, as Miki yelled. Miki. Every day. Every day. I am looked down upon. People tell that I am a slut that have raised a monster like you. A monster that assaults girls. I have to hold my head down in shame because of you. And from today I have no son. Issei was horrified as he tried to speak, tears falling from his eyes. He desperately tried to convince them otherwise. As Goru pushed his hand back and spoke. Boru. Miki is right. To us, you are dead. Miki. I wish I had never given birth to you. Issei stood there, now tears stopping to fall. They never believed him. What they told back at the dinner table, that was a lie. They didn't bother asking anyone. Issei's hair covered his face before he starts laughing maniacally as their faces change from anger to shock. Issei. You said you would believe me from now on, huh, Goru? I guess that's a lie then. Boru? What? Boru exclaimed angrily as Issei responded. Issei. You heard me, you just admitted you never wanted a son, then again, as expected from pathetic pieces of shit like you. Issei was letting his emotions out. He no longer was going to deal with these low-class scum as his parents ever again. As Goru angrily charged in order to punch his son, Issei seeing this grabbed his hand and growled. Issei. I am done being nice with the 2 of you. Issei started to crush his fist as he fell to his knees. He screamed in pain. Boru. Aya. Miki. Goru. Miki yelled as she watched in horror as Issei kept crushing his hands. Issei. Every single day, you have abused me for your own self-interests. Never have you tried to ask what happened to me, and even if you heard me out, you would have still beaten me up. Issei exclaimed as he left his hand. Goru groaned looking at his hand in pain as he saw nothing could be saved. He hardly could move it. Issei. Today, I shall make you feel the pain you dealt with me, like you did with me all these years. All the suffering you too shall feel in one night. Issei kicked Goru to the ground as he groaned. He then spoke. Issei. Enjoy. Issei kept punching Goru in the fast. His punches started to increase its speed as it passed, faster and faster every time he punched his face. Goru used his other hand to block, but it was easily deflected. He kept punching until he was completely satisfied. It was always Masami. Punch. You always cared for her. Punch. You only loved her, well you left me to rot. Punch punch. You tortured me, tormented me, harassed me, abused me and beat me till I nearly died. Punch punch punch. You only cared for Masami. Well you beat me. Now how does it feel to be on the receiving end, father? Punch 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 punch. Why? Why? Issei kept punching his father. Each punch was filled with disappointment and anger towards him as he spoke. Issei. I guess the promise you made of trusting me was as good as gone now. He then got up and took one last look at his former father's face. It was barely recognizable. He was completely unconscious, but Issei could see his specs was completely shattered, with some of the glass piercing his skin. His skull was broken completely, however his brain was not damaged. The reason was that he wanted him to suffer, and him dying will deny that. His skin was torn completely and he was bleeding on every side, with bruises all over his face. Issei could even see his cheek muscles, and his veins were being fully displayed. He turned his attention to Miki, who was horrified. She was shaking in fear, tears falling down from his eyes, as Issei spoke in a monotone voice, before increasing his tone. Issei. So Miki, are you not going to save your husband from this monster? Are you not going to beat me up like you always did? I still remembered that you burned me with kitchen utensils when I was framed for hurting several girls, thanks to those two bitches. Miki fell back, as she spoke in fear. Miki. Don't come near, stay away. Issei kept walking towards her, ignoring her. He wanted to make them suffer, and he knew just exactly what he needed to do. Issei. If you ever come near or even try to talk to me, I will finish what I started in this home. I will torture you. You won't die, Miki. But you will wish you would. From today I am not a Haidu anymore, don't even call me your son ever again. I am done with this god-forsaken family, I renounce this family. Now if you will excuse me, I will be taking my stuff. Issei walked inside the house and headed to his room. As he did, he fell to his knees and started crying. His own parents have disowned him. This went on for a while. Both Zalgo and Drake were silent. They did not know what to say. He got up and packed his stuff. He looked at the image. It was his past. He saw himself and his sister going to an amusement park with his parents, himself and his sister smiling. He approached it and used pyrokinesis to burn it. He then used 2 duffel bags to pack his stuff and leave the house. As he did, he looked in a room of Miki trying to stop the bleeding on Goru face. He did not bother looking at them and approached the door to leave. As he was outside, he took one last look at his house before heading to his destination Kuo Academy. Issei. I am coming for you, Kendo Duo. Issei growled as he flew into sky heading to Kuo Academy. Scene change. Kuo Academy, 7:30 p.m. The Kendo duo were chuckling along with the rest of the Kendo group as Kata spoke. Katis. Man, that was so much fun, framing him like that. Murayama. Come on, that was a request of Ria-sama, how could we deny her request like that? Katis. Indeed, we even took it one step further on her request. The girls started chuckling even further as Murayama spoke. Murayama. After all, we made sure to make it extra on her request. Katis. Indeed, we managed to ejaculate some of our vaginal fluids, and that's it, the principle, everyone believed it. Murayama. And then I was like. Mimics crying girl. Oh, that bastard Issei, he raped me once again, and he beat me and Cat up. We tried to fight against him, but we failed, we couldn't, he was too strong, we were helpless against him. Katis. Oh, your acting skills are top-notch, Mura. The girls started laughing as Murayama spoke while laughing. Murayama. And the best part is, even if he does find the truth, it will be too late. After all, thanks to this society, it has become, men cannot be raped. The girls started laughing even further, some cheering for the Kendo captain duo, as a voice spoke startling them all. Issei. So, guilty until proven innocent, huh? Not a bad tactic. The girls turned their attention to Issei, the girl smirk, seeing the broken boy in front of them. Murayama. So Haidu, how did you like the framing? Issei. 1. It is not Haidu, and 2. Isn't it obvious? The girls were shocked, after which they started laughing, as Katis spoke. Katis. So they kicked you out of the house, huh? Murayama. Hick, that's amazing, I couldn't believe that, so you finally suffered so much. The girls started laughing, as Issei got angrier every second. Both Zalgo and Drake were furious as Zalgo then declared telepathically. Zalgo. Look at these pathetic humans, hell, I can't even call him that, they are no way humans, they are laughing at you, show them that you are not to be messed with. Show them that you are the Demon King. Issei clenched his fist while nodding, as he generated a barrier, without anyone noticing. Seeing the clenched fist, Katis spoke. Katis. Don't even bother fighting us. Murayama. If you do, then we will frame you for something sinister and… Before Murayama could complete, Issei rushed towards her and punched her straight towards her chin. Murayama was sent flying as some blood came from her mouth. Issei's punch had some corruption aura on it. He hid it so that no one could see it. She was still conscious, albeit shocked. Katis and the other Kendo girls who witnessed this were shocked and angered by what Issei did, as Katis yelled. Katis. Get him. The Kendo girls charged at him, as many had their shinace aimed at him, ready to beat him to a pulp. Issei did so, disarming 2 of them, as he broke their sticks. He then grabbed them on their faces, as he dragged them across the ground, making them scream in pain. Ah, please stop, it hurts. I am sorry, I had no choice. Issei ignored their pleas for escape as he threw them across the wall, completely shattering their back. They were alive but unconscious, as their faces were completely bruised. The remaining girls surrounded as he then looked around, his eyes scanning for his opponent's weak spots, as he knew that they will jump on him as soon as possible. Issei blitzed through several of the girls, disarming many in an instant. He then unleashed a series of corrupted strikes, completely dismantling their arms in an instant. The girls felt excruciating pain due to the corrupted energy infecting their body parts, as well as Issei aiming for their joints and nerve vessels. Issei. Is that all? Two girls tried to charge at him. As he grinned, he looked at their arms that were flailing, as he knew that they will never be able to use their arms again. Endo girl A. Take this, you monster. Issei saw the girl attempt to kick him. As she tried to do so, Issei grabbed a leg. Using that girl, he swung the girl like a baseball bat, aiming the other, as their head slammed with such force, shattering their skulls. Although their brains were saved due to the membranes between them, protecting them, the other girl went flying and was struck near a tree, breaking her back completely. She was unable to move. Endo girl A. No. Mercy, please. Issei ignored her request and with his free hand, he ripped the leg of the girl, resulting in her making a horrifying screech. The girl watched in horror as Issei had grabbed her leg. He then viciously used the leg to constantly beat her until she was knocked out. Issei dropped her leg as he turned his attention to the remaining girls. In a blitz he approached in front of them. He approached two girls and gave a gut punch. As they coughed up blood due to the immense pain, Issei put her through. The girls did not have much time to recover as he grabbed the head of the girls and kept slamming them over and over again, knocking them out cold. They had blood on their faces. Now only Cadis and 3 girls remain. The rest were brutally knocked out cold or severely damaged, although all of them were alive. The reason is that death is too good for any of these girls. He wanted them to suffer. Cadis was shivering in fear, and same with the girls. The girls had lost their ability to move their hands as Issei rushed towards them and gave a side sweep, knocking them off the ground. As he did, he grabbed 2 of the girls' head and threw them upwards. He then aimed for the first girl and repeated a series of punches towards her stomach. Each punch shattered the girl's internal organs. They were all complicit in the framings of Issei throughout his high school. He showed no mercy to any member of the Kendo club. They took absolute pleasure in tormenting him and his friends. Even though the latter peeped on them, they made sure to torment them to death, even if they got their hands on Issei. He then kicked the girl as she went flying towards the girl, that was knocked unconscious as her body collided with hers, further causing more damage to the girl. Issei then turned his attention to the second girl as he kept kicking her. He reduced the power to prolong the suffering of the girl. He showed no mercy to any of the girls as he kicked her, breaking her teeth off from her mouth. As he then grabbed the bruised face of the girl, she was heavily disfigured. Her teeth were broken off. As he kicked her to the ground, making her cough up and making her pass out due to the pain. Issei. Protectors of Kuo, my ass. Issei then turned his final attention to the final girl. As he punched her up in the air, he then grabbed her and slammed her to the ground. He kept slamming her to the ground until she was badly beaten and bruised. Her clothes were also partially torn. Issei grabbed her by the hair and then kneed her straight in the face as she screamed in pain. Issei continued to do so as the girl pleaded for mercy. He was done being nice to any of them. He had tolerated them enough, but not anymore. He will no longer be tormented anymore. All the girls were down, as only Cadis and Murayama were left, both horrified and fearful on what would happen to them next. As Issei spoke. Issei. Ah, just the 2 of us, just like I planned. Murayama. Why you planned, the 2 of us, alone? Murayama asked with fear, as Issei responded with a grin. The girl saw the silhouette of a demon behind him. Issei. Indeed, your army of jackasses are downed, only the 2 of you are left, the Kendo duo. Well then, my tormentors, shall we begin your judgment? Cadis. Stay away, you monster. Issei. Oh, worry not, I am not going for you first. You are all chess pieces on my board, and I am the hand that moves you too. But saying that, Issei charged towards Murayama as he slammed his tormentor to the ground. He kept doing so, constantly slamming her to the ground until he was satisfied, and with a grin, he kept stepping on her face, crushing it with his impact. Murayama felt the force of a 25 kilograms weight on her head with more speed. Murayama was screaming in pain as he kept torturing her, tears falling down from her eyes as she begged. Murayama. Issei, please, I am so sorry. Cadis. Leave her alone, you bastard. Cadis yelled as Issei turned her attention to Murayama as he spoke. Issei. I will spare her, but you must lick my feet and exclaim that I am superior than you. I promise to leave her alone. Cadis was shocked. There was no way she was going to lick the feet of this man, whom she deemed weak and pathetic, her tormentor, but then again, her friend's life was at risk. She begged Issei to spare her, screaming in pain while doing so. Issei. Your choice determines the fate of your friend, so what is it going to be? Issei grinned. He remembered how they framed him for the worst of the worst things: rape, sexual assault, harassment, to name a few. Cadis, on seeing this, approached and started lick his feet. Seeing this girl suffer made him smile. He enjoyed making her suffer. Cadis, you are superior, Issei-sama. After a while, he then released Murayama. Cadis yelled. Cadis, now leave her alone. Issei, fine. A deal is a deal. Issei then kicked her, knocking her out as her body slammed to the ground. Seeing this, Cadis then yelled. Cadis, you promised to leave her alone. Issei, and I did. I never said I wouldn't kick her before doing so, right? I kept my end of the bargain. Issei then blitzed towards her and spoke. Issei, now, it's your turn. Cadis was fearful of her fate as Issei grabbed her face and slammed it over and over again, making her scream in pain. He then started to grab her neck and crush it, not killing her, but making sure she chokes. Issei then dropped her and grabbed her arms as he pulled it backwards. He grinned as Cadis was fearful of losing her arms. However, Issei planned something else. He used the boosted gear and masked its voice using sound manipulation. Issei, Drake, I want you to transfer some power to her pain receptors. Drake, while not accepting this kind of torture, knew that these girls had it coming. They are the reason his family is completely broken. The whole town hates him. He agreed to do it, and neither he stopped Issei from hurting these girls. He himself wanted to burn these girls down for their actions. Drake, understood, partner. Zalgo, that's my successor. Those girls had it coming. Issei did so, and as a transfer was secretly called, Cadis felt something surging in her, but it was not strength. He then pulled the arms, revealing the flesh and blood vessels, as Cadis made a blood-curdling scream. Cadis. Aye. Cadis looked at her arms. They were dangling. The pain was enhanced thanks to the pain receptors being boosted, thus increasing her pain significantly. The kendo captain passed out due to the pain. As Issei turned around, seeing the carnage he himself created, all the girls completely unconscious, with all of them severely bleeding. Issei felt no empathy or pity for any of these girls, especially for everything he has been through. Issei. Now, we have the principal and the Gremory peerage minus Kiba remaining. Scene change. The principal office, 8:30 p.m. Issei headed to the principal's office. He was aware on how greedy the man was responsible for his torment for all these years. He accepted the fake evidence and let it happen all this while. He had disabled all the cameras inside the room before entering. The principal himself was described to be quite overweight. He had a mustache below his nose, which extended till his lower mouth. He was a middle-aged man and wore traditional formal clothing and a tie. Issei decided to kick the door, not caring for etiquette or manners. He knew that what he is gonna do, there is no turning back on this one. Principal. Mr. Haidu, this is no time for entering my room, and without permission, I am going to inform your parents for this. In a blink of an eye, Issei grabbed the yelling principal by the throat as he spoke one word. Issei. Principal sir, I would like to have a chat. Principal. Leave me, Haidu, or you are gonna regret it. Issei. I don't think so. Issei kept choking his principal as he started to lose his breath as the principal then spoke. Principal. Okay. I will talk, please let me go. Issei grinned as he let the principal go. He started to breathe, making him stable as Issei spoke. Issei. So. Tell me, how much did those bitches pay you for framing me? The principal wondered what he meant by this as he spoke. Principal. What do you mean? Issei. I think this should jog your memory, principal. Issei showed him the photo. As it clicked, he then spoke. Principal. They gave me. The principal was reluctant on giving Issei any information since the girls had paid him an hefty amount to keep his mouth shut. Issei then yelled. Issei. Answer the damn question. The principal fell back. This is the first time Issei was behaving like this as he spoke in fear. 100,000 yen. Issei glared at the principal. He then asked. Issei. For how long? Principal. Huh? Issei. For how long? Issei raised his voice, making the principal flinch in fear as the principal stuttered. Principal. For 5 years. Issei glared with the intent to kill. These girls have been making his life a living nightmare, and the principal was at least truthful. That is something that he could have given credit for. Issei. Well, you are at least truthful. Principal. So will you let me go? Issei had a smile, making the principal hopeful, as Issei however was smiling for a different reason. He knew just the punishment he needed to give him. Issei. Well, principal, ever heard the story of King Midas? Principal. No. Why? Issei. Well, let me tell you, he was once a king, a kind yet greedy king. Unlike you, he had received a wish. Everything he had touched turned into gold. However, it meant everything. Even his own daughter. Principal. I don't understand, what are you trying to convey? Issei. Your punishment. Principal angrily yelled at the statement. Principal. Who are you to punish me? Issei. Don't you dare raise your voice at me. The principal fell back as Issei spoke. Issei. Now where was I? Oh yeah, your punishment will be that you will receive a similar wish except instead of turning others into gold, you yourself will turn into gold. The principal thought he was bluffing and he started to laugh relentlessly, however he stopped laughing when Issei spoke. Issei. Oh, I am serious, let me show you. The principal tried to fall back as Issei muttered. Issei. Gold touch. Issei had grabbed his hand and it instantly turned into gold. Horrified, the principal started screaming as he begged for his life while he turned into gold. Principal. No, please. Don't do this to me. I will call your parents and clear your name. Issei. Oh, it's too late for that. My parents have long disowned me thanks to you. Now you shall suffer for your greed, a poetic way to go, don't you think, Principal? Principal. No, please. I am begging you. The principal's body started to be stiff as he was turning into gold. Issei then spoke. Issei. Don't be like that, you wanted to be rich, right? That's your own greed, turning you into gold. You should be happy, rejoicing for what your greed had amounted to. Have fun. Issei walked out the room as the principal pleaded for mercy. He eventually turned into a pure gold statue, which looked like himself, except it was completely gold. Issei then spoke. Issei. Ironic. He was greedy for his own selfishness, and his greed destroyed him. Issei then proceeded to head to his final destination, that is when he got a text from Riaz herself. Riaz. Come to the club room, it is urgent. Issei. Why does she want to invite me to her death? Well then again, it will be fun. Issei had an evil grin, he was going to make sure she never gets in his way ever again. Scene change. Or club room, 9 p.m. Issei. So why did you call? Issei pushed the door open, however Riaz and her entire peerage minus Kiba were present, as they all had smirks present. Zalgo then telepathically spoke. Zalgo. Stay on alert, Issei, that red-haired might be planning something. Issei mentally nods, as Riaz then spoke. Riaz. I am here to tell you that you are no longer part of my peerage. Zalgo. Play along. Issei. What? Issei feigned surprise, but he expected this instead of torment. He had maniacally grinned internally. This was the first good news he could get in a slew of bad news. Issei. May I know why? Riaz. Isn't it obvious? I have never met a more disrespectful, weak and pathetic pawn in my life. Riaz smirked as she spoke. Issei was in a trance, but not out of despair or sadness like she expected, but out of anger at the sheer disrespect that this girl showed. Not to mention he was happy at this outcome, after a shitty day like today. This is the first good thing that has happened to him. He then turned around and saw all the girls smirking at his state of despair. Riaz. Now I will be taking my pawn pieces. Riaz approached Issei and tried to purge her pawn pieces, as she announced. Purge. Riaz was surprised as it did not work as she exclaimed. Riaz. What? Issei started chuckling as he spoke. Issei. Oh Riaz, my dear foolish girl, Riaz. Riaz. How did it not work? Issei. It is simple, I was never your pawn to begin with. Issei now had a grin on his face. Riaz fell back as Issei then approached her. He then spoke. Issei. Why, so scared Riaz? I also knew that you were the one that sent the Kendo duo to ruin my life for your own sadistic pleasure. Riaz now was scared shitless as Riaz yelled. Riaz. How are you alive? Removal of the pawn pieces means instant death. How is this possible? Issei. Simple Riaz. Issei glared down on her as she felt like death was staring on her face. He had dealt with the Kendo duo, the principal. Now only one person was left on his hide list, Riaz Gremory, the one who turned his childhood friend against him. But then again, he was sorta thankful for her doing that. She was never a true friend to begin with. Issei. You're too weak. Riaz scampered further back. This was going to be the last day on the planet. However, before anyone could do anything, a voice called out. Surziches. That's enough. It was Surziches, along with Grafia, as he spoke. Surziches. We heard everything, we will take it from here, Issei. Riaz. Brother. Riaz and Issei looked at her brother, one with happiness, while the other with annoyance. However, Riaz's look changed in shock as Surziches spoke. Surziches. Riaz Gremory. You will spend the rest of your life in Cocytus. Riaz. What? Surziches. For your actions, I have gathered enough proof for you to be sent to the prison, and you will never come out for the rest of your life. That is the verdict of Satan Lucifer. Surziches boomed as Riaz spoke. Riaz. But you can't do this to me. Brother. Surziches. Here, it is Lord Lucifer, Riaz Gremory. Surziches boomed again as Grafia approached and froze her entire peerage. Rainer then spoke. Rainer. But the verdict by Lord Beelzebub states that I am allowed to roam in the human world. Surziches. Not anymore. You were complicit in framing and harassing of Mr. Haidu multiple times. Your sentence will be less, but you will stay in Tartarus for the rest of your life. You followed Ria's Gremory's orders blindly and without concern for Mr. Haidu's life. Issei. Lord Lucifer. Surziches turned to Issei as he spoke. Issei. Just call me Mr. Issei now, I am no longer a Haidu. Surziches was initially shocked as was Grafia. His shock changed into anger as he glared towards Riaz. He knew that this was his doing since he overheard Issei's conversation with Riaz right now. Riaz yelped in fear. She could no longer rely on her brother to protect her. As for Grafia, she was equally furious at what her sister-in-law did to Issei. Surziches. My verdict remains unchanged. I was initially planning to keep you for the next 100 years before the conversation that took place between the two of you, but now it has changed to your entire life. Grafia, take them away. Grafia nods and takes her away. As she does, Ria screams profanities and blames Issei for this, while he grins seeing her and her peerage like this. Grafia then teleports herself and the Gremory peerage minus the underworld to the Cocytus for the rest of her life. Surziches. I am sorry for her behavior, it will not happen next time. I shall see you at the peace conference. Issei nods as Surziches teleports away. Issei is left alone at the club room as he gives a call to his fellow demon generals. Issei. Majin, Lord X, Herobrine, MX, Hypno, prepare the demons that are still loyal to me. It is about time to announce the world that the demon faction is back. Issei declared as all the demon generals spoke. Majin, Lord X, Herobrine, MX and Hypno. As you wish, my lord. Issei then sits on the chair that belonged to his former master. He then spoke. Issei. I wonder if I can take the Orc Club room and make into my base. Or I might ask for a better room. Near Haidu residence, 8 p.m. Lasami was heading to her home as she recalled the conversation that she had with Riaz when Issei headed back home. Scene change. Flashback start. Lasami turned her attention to Riaz, dispelling her balance breaker and spoke. Lasami. Riaz Gremory, I want to speak to you. Riaz lost her smirk and gave a smile to the Haidu twin sister. Riaz. Go ahead. Lasami. I know you were the one that asked the Kendo duo to frame my brother against Arena. Riaz was sweating bullets. Unlike Issei, Masami is known to be perspective, or at least that's what she thinks. Issei did not expect his friend to betray him like that. Riaz. So you know. Masami. And don't bother fighting against me, you couldn't even take a Cerberus down with your entire peerage, I will freeze you to death. Riaz was in a fix, even the other three girls were terrified as Masami speaks. Masami. I have two requests, one release Issei from this peerage, and two, stop bothering him and leave him alone. Riaz. I won't, this is an unfair deal. Lasami. Woman, you are not in a position to negotiate. Bekeno. I would not say that if I were you. Hineko. Even if you do defeat us, you will have to deal with President's older brother. Lord Surziches Lucifer. Lasami wondered what she meant as Zero spoke. Zero. I wouldn't fight them, Surziches Lucifer is stronger than you at your current level. Lasami gritted her teeth and seeing the situation as she took a deep breath on her partner's advice and spoke. Lasami. Fine, I will bite, so what do you want? Riaz. I am willing to let go of Issei, but in return you must be my pawn, what do you say? You are after all much better than he is. Lasami couldn't deny it, she was better than her brother, as much as she hated to admit it, she then sighed and spoke. Lasami. Fine, I accept. Riaz then smiled and spoke. Riaz. Good, meet me after a while, I will get your pieces ready. Lasami nods as she leaves. She however wanted to get out of the peerage as soon as possible, as she was not a big fan of joining the Devils. Flashback ends. Scene change. Lasami was heading home. As she did, she knew that she needed to get out of the Gremory peerage, however little did she know that she will not be joining them. Lasami opened the door and entered inside. The atmosphere seemed gloomy, like as if there was no sign of joy and happiness, as she spoke. Lasami. The house is awfully dark. Where is everyone? Zero spoke to her sacred gear telepathically. Zero. Masami, I have a bad feeling about this. Lasami. I hope that everything is alright. Lasami walked inside, however what she saw inside shocked and horrified her. Her father was being bandaged, he was beaten badly. On instinct, Masami rushed inside and helped her father up. Lasami. Dad. Who did this to you? Ora was completely silent, he still contemplated on what happened today. His son has left them, this time willingly, but then again, they never cared for him and disowned him shamelessly. Nikki was the one who spoke, she spoke with a heavy heart. Nikki. It was Issei, he did this. Masami was shocked. It did not help that her brother was the culprit behind it. She was angry, no furious at what happened. However, a voice called her out, snapping her out of her trance. 0. Breathe, Masami, breathe. Masami did so, but she was still angry. She wanted to confront her brother. She walked to leave, however a hand stopped her from doing so. Masami turned her attention to the one who kept her hand. It was her own father, with a hand that was not crushed. His right hand was the one that got crushed, while the left hand remained intact. Goru glared at her, despite the face disfigurement. While Masami was surprised, she did not know what happened, as Miki spoke in his stead. Miki. I know you are going to confront him, don't bother, he will not even hear you out, he might even end up attacking you. Leave him alone. Masami wanted to protest, however a glare from Miki left her silent, as Masami asked. Masami? Why? What caused brother to attack dad like that? Miki then went on to explain what had transpired, as Masami then spoke in a low tone, while masking her anger. Masami. So you disowned him, without even hearing him out? Miki. Yes. Masami. Why? He was with me the whole time, how can you believe someone else's voice over his own voice? Miki. Do you think the school is lying? Masami. They fucking are. And. Before she could speak, she heard a voice from the door. This was revealed to be Claire and Asia, as the duo spoke. Claire. Hey, I am home. Asia. Issei, where are you? The girls approached inside. As they did, Claire and Asia were shocked at the Goru's disfigured face. Asia instinctively wanted to heal. However, Claire stopped her. Asia then remembered how they treated Issei. Asia stopped herself. In addition, she could not reveal the existence of the supernatural. Claire. What happened here? And where is Issei? Claire lost her smile, and she angrily glared at the Haidu family. Something must have happened, as Miki was forced to tell the truth. The fact that Claire and Asia were angry was an understatement. They were furious, as Claire spoke in a low tone before yelling. Claire. Parents are supposed to love and cherish their children. They are supposed to guide them to being better people. But you did everything opposite to that. You disowned him over a lie made by two whores who only wanted to torment him. How could you? Both Goru and Miki flinched at the tone which Claire yelled at. They could feel her anger radiating all the way from a distance. Claire did everything in her power to not burn the two right in front of her. Masami tried to reduce the tension by speaking. Masami. Claire Wani-chan. Claire. Shut it, Masami. Masami flinched. This is the first time she has seen Claire this angry. Hell, she has never been angry before, as Claire was the next to speak. Claire. I don't want to hear it from you. You are equally responsible for this. Well, you ignored him and left him to his own devices instead of testifying or even standing up for him. Masami felt guilty, as Asia was the next to speak. Asia. Claire is absolutely right. I myself had no parents. I always wished to have one, but now I am glad that I don't have any. You know, people are right, all children deserve parents, but not all parents deserve any children. You left Issei to rot and die. You should be ashamed of yourselves. Masami felt further guilty while the parents were sad and disheartened. Claire then spoke while looking towards Asia. Claire. I am leaving. I am looking for him. Asia, do you want to come? Asia. Is that even a question? Claire. I know, let's go. The Haidu family tried to stop the girls, but a quick glare from Claire silenced them. As the girls rushed out, on the way, they met up with Kiba and Zenobia as they spoke. Kiba. Where is Issei? Zenobia. We were supposed to meet him here. Claire. Well, it's a long story. You might want to hear this out. Claire then narrated the entire incident. Needless to say, Kiba was shocked and horrified that Issei had to go through that. Even Zenobia was shocked at this. While she was not as much horrified as Kiba was, she had more mental strength compared to Kiba did. Kiba. Oh no. Asia. And that's not even the worst part. Asia then narrated his past to the duo. Now even Zenobia couldn't handle it. She had tears falling from her eyes. While Kiba controlled his tears, she felt worse as Arena did the same thing. She highly doubted that she could be friends with someone who used someone else to get close to his relative. She only hoped that she doesn't abandon her like she did to Issei. Zenobia. Where is he? Claire. Even we don't know about it. Kiba. I think we should check the school. Asia. Are you sure? I highly doubt he is there. Claire. It's worth a shot. Let's split up. Me and Asia will be heading to school, while the two of you search the forest or park, he might be there. The duo nodded. As they split up, the girls head there. Scene change. Guo Academy, 8:45 p.m. The girls headed there as they saw multiple ambulances outside, as Claire asked. Claire. What happened here? Asia. I think something horrible. Let's go inside and check it out. Claire nodded. So many ambulances must mean there are multiple victims out here. That meant a disaster must have happened, injuring so many. but she couldn't see any viable signs of explosion as well as any such damages. However, as they entered inside, they were met with a sight that shocked and horrified them. The student council members were lifting up members of the kendo club. Asia was especially horrified, as they had many bruises and multiple wounds. The unlucky ones even had their arms torn off and leg dismembered. One of the student council members, whom Claire recognized as Haruko Nomura, was helping the injured girls on the stretchers. Haruko is a short girl with brown hair and long twin ponytails and green eyes. She wears a pair of green clips in her hair, and she also wears striped green stockings. Another girl was helping another member, helping the girl on a stretcher. Claire recognized her as Ryaku Saka, who was a slim girl with long brown hair that ends in two short braids and matching eyes. She also wears a blue headband. And finally, a third girl, whom Claire recognized as Tomo Meguri, was the third and final girl helping the injured to the stretchers to be taken to the hospital. She was a beautiful girl with shoulder-length reddish-brown hair tied into twintails and brown eyes. Her hair features swept bangs and a single strand of hair sticking out from the top. Tomo. It's bad, who could do this to these girls? Momo. We don't know, Tomo, let's get them to the stretchers. Saji. Momo is right, the faster we help them, the faster we can help them. The other girls nod and they help them up the stretchers. They do so, as Claire and Asia see Sona and Tsubaki talking to the doctors as they nodded on what they needed to do. Sona informed them about informing to the respective parents, and so they agreed to do so. The doctors headed inside to assess the girl's condition as Sona spoke. Sona. We might have to delay the open house dates. Considering whoever did this. Tsubaki. We unfortunately can't, the pamphlets have been sent to the parents, it shall happen in 2 days. Sona. Any signs of the attacker? Tsubaki. We are looking for him or her, whoever did this must have had a strong hatred towards the girls, out of which the kendo captains were the most damaged. The duo of girls heard this. Claire and Asia were surprised at this, the attacker per second must have gone after them the most. Claire. The attacker went after the kendo duo. Whoever he or she is must have a vendetta against them. Asia. That's true, and there are only 3 people that did. Mitsuda, Madahama, and Issei. Claire. Out of which? Oh no. Claire realized who the attacker is and it shocked her. Only one person had the strength to brutally maim them this hard. It was Issei. He was the one that attacked the kendo duo and brutally tortured them. Asia asked in concern. Asia? Who? Who was it? Claire. I think we know who the attacker was. It was. As Claire was about to say, she was interrupted by Sona and Tsubaki. Sona. Claire. What happened? Claire. Sona, I think I have an idea, who did this? The duo of the girls look at her as Claire speaks. Claire. But not here, inside if they hear it, things might become from bad to worse. Looking at the situation, Sona did not want to leave things like that as Tsubaki spoke. Tsubaki. President, go inside, I will handle this. Sona looked at her for a moment and spoke. Sona. Very well. Scene change. Student council room, 9:15 p.m. Sona took a seat as Claire filled her in on the possible people that could have done this. Needless to say, she was shocked and horrified. She knew Issei and the perverted duo. While being perverted, they knew that they neither have the power nor the will to do so. And then there is Issei, who is known to be nice and sweet. Even when he was being harassed, he still did not fight back. Unless, something wrong must have happened. Sona. So those 3, they are the ones that did it. Claire. That's the suspects, but I know who actually did it. Sona. I think it is Issei as well. I mean, Mitsuda and Madahama don't have the strength to do what the kendo club suffered. Claire. We will only know once we meet him. Have you seen him? Sona. No. And we need to hurry, before he does something messed up, we first need to ask his parents. Asia and Claire stiffened up and angrily glared at Sona, who flinched. She did not know what happened as Asia spoke. Asia. Don't bother asking them. Sona. Why? If anyone knows where Issei's parents are, it is them. Claire. They won't. It's because he is no longer a part of the Haidu family. Sona widened her eyes in shock. In all her time as the student council president, she has not once heard a family straight up abandoning their child, as Sona asks in disbelief. Sona. What are you talking about? Claire. They disowned him, and I think everything is now lining up, let me explain. Claire then revealed that the kendo duo must have framed him, and the principal must have also been involved in the scene, and in the aftermath, they must have framed him, and after that, his parents have disowned him. Sona. Them again. Sona had lost any respect or empathy she had for them. Initially she felt empathetic towards their fate, however she no longer had that for them. Sona then spoke. Sona. I was planning to expose the duo on the open house day, when their parents and everyone was being present, but now, I doubt that would be needed. Claire and Asia was surprised as Claire asked. Claire. Where is the proof? Sona. Here. Sona summoned a magic circle and revealed many things from audio recordings, images, video recordings and other stuff to name a few as Claire spoke. Claire. I think you should. Sona looked at her in surprise as Sona spoke. Sona. Huh. Claire. You should, it's time we end his torment from our end. I blame myself, had I known this earlier this wouldn't have had happened, I would have put a stop to it, we need to give justice to Issei, before things become worse. Sona. Are you too sure of this? Asia. We are, it's time we unmask the Kendo duo, for the imposters they are, women like these make real victims suffer, we need to put a stop to this. Sona looks at the girls as she speaks. Sona. Fine. Smiles. I will help you in this, but we need to head to the principal and get his help. The duo nods as they leave to head to the principal's room, however little do they know that Issei has already dealt with him as well. Scene change. The girls head to the principal's room, but they were in for a shock as they saw one thing, the principal was on the floor pleading, begging as he was frozen in the form of a gold statue. Sona went to assess the statue and was horrified by what she found, this was the real principal, only instead of human, he was gold. Sona. This is the principal. The duo were in disbelief as Claire spoke. Claire. You're kidding. Asia. No. That's him. Claire looked at her as Asia spoke. Asia. This is the advanced demonic magic Herobrine told me about, the spell is called Gold Touch, it is similar to how King Midas's story was, where he could touch anything and it would turn gold. Claire. Is he? Sona. I can't say for sure, but the expression he was making, he was terrified when Issei dealt with him, that framing has finally broken him. Claire. No. Claire feared this, she feared losing Issei like this. Sona looked away as she felt like a failure, she failed as the student council president, or even as a friend, she couldn't do anything in this situation. Asia was in despair, keeping her hands on her mouth. Claire. And he is the Red Dragon Emperor and the reincarnation of Zalgo, if he has snapped. Sona. Then he is a ticking time bomb, we need to find him fast. Claire and Asia nodded, that is when Asia spoke. Asia. I sense him. Claire. Where? Claire asked in a worried tone as Sona watched in worry, on the location, where Issei was, as she spoke. Asia. He is near the occult research club room, I sense him there, but we must hurry his presence is fading fast. Asia and Claire headed to the orc room, they had to head to the orc room fast, since they knew why Issei went there, he wanted to take retribution. Sona also joined in as well, since they could help him, however by the time they reached there was no one left. Claire. No. Asia. We are too late. Claire fell to her knees, crying, blaming herself for what had happened as Asia and Sona consoled her, there was nobody left, as Issei had left long time ago. Claire. Had we not gone to the underworld, none of this would have happened. Sona. Claire. Don't blame yourself. Sona felt helpless for not being there in this situation, she felt responsible, had she worked on the rumors sooner than before none of this would have happened, Issei would be mentally stable, and Issei would be here, with Claire right now. Zenobia and Kiba were the next to come in as they asked. Kiba. Any sign of? Kiba trailed off as Claire looked at him, with tearful eyes. Kiba had an idea of where Issei is. Sona then explained everything to the duo, and needless to say they were both shocked, horrified and angry at what the Kendo duo did, they failed to help him. Zenobia. So what now? Asia. There is nothing we can do, we need to wait for him to head back. Sona clenched her fist in anger, she decided that the open house day would be the day she would end everything, especially what the Kendo duo did. She was also aware this was Ria's doing, and if she is responsible for threatening the devils to clear her stupid vendetta, she is as good as dead. Scene change. Issei sat on a throne, it took him a while to settle down in his new mansion, he was more focused on being a faction leader. It did not help that his own parents had abandoned him, he started to believe no one, except the demons were on his side. As he scanned the room, he then spoke. Issei. This is the beginning of a new era. Issei then saw Lord X and MX heading their way. Lord X. Lord Issei, they are waiting. MX. All demons that are loyal to you are standing in the courtyard awaiting your next move. Issei. Excellent. You may leave. The duo spoke. MX and Lord X. As you wish, my lord. The demon generals left as Issei stood up from his throne, his appearance looked different, he seemed more regal, and his clothing seemed much better. Almost befitting of a king. Issei stands across, seeing many demons were present. Seeing this, Issei released his aura, making the demons turn their attention to him. As they bowed, many chanted. All hail. Lord Zalgo. All hail. Issei. Calm down. Using sound manipulation, Issei announced, as his voice boomed, almost all the demons bowed in front of him, even the other demon generals felt like bowing in front of him. Issei. First. I may have the aura of Zalgo. But my name is Issei. I am his reincarnation as well as his successor. One of the demons spoke, sensing the dragon energy off him. Demon? But how can a dragon be a demon at the same time, Lord Issei? Issei. It's simple. Issei revealed the boosted gear, shocking the demon faction. Many started to question, how can a demon have a sacred gear and a longinus, which is fully capable of killing the gods? Issei. I was born a human. This is how I managed to get the boosted gear. A certain event allowed me to remember my past, as well as regain most of my power. In addition, Drake, the heavenly dragon inside, agreed to train me, along with my previous incarnation Zalgo himself. In time, I will be a being that will surpass my previous incarnation Zalgo himself, and be the first demonic dragon. I shall bring the demon faction to new heights, make it the strongest faction among all the factions, and that is my promise. The demons cheered, as the Red Dragon Emperor has joined their side. They all cheered. All hail Lord Issei. All hail. All hail Drake. Drake felt happy hearing the cheers at the same time as Issei spoke. Issei. Now, what I will be announcing might not sit well with most of you. I will be making peace with the angels, devils and fallen angels. Issei declared, which made many of the demons discuss among themselves. Some even protested, still bitter about the gods' actions towards the demons, as Issei declared. Issei. Silence. Issei's declaration made many silent as Issei spoke. Issei. Now I am well aware that the past actions of God were the reason why I was killed in the first place. The only reason I accepted this was, we will never let a repeat of this again. The numbers of devils, angels and fallen angels are at an all-time low. Even demons are also at an all-time low. Any war will cripple us into non-existence. And I shall not let that happen. Issei's declaration once again got many to discuss. The ones that were protesting also thought about thinking about have a peace conference and wondered what is their leader thinking. Issei. In addition, the angels will be knowing of my return, so they will not dare try and go after the demons. One wrong move, and if they try and backstab us like last time, we will not hesitate in bringing them to extinction. We will show them why demons, like dragons, are one of the most feared races of all time. We will exterminate every single one of them out of existence if they ever betray the peace treaty, or if they try and backstab me ever again. Issei's declaration made many demons cheer. They knew that if the demons were to fight again, they will take down the angel faction, as they were responsible for their leader's death. Issei then left the podium and reverted his voice back to normal. MX. I gotta hand it down to you. You certainly knew how to handle a crowd even without experience. Bossman. Issei sighs and speaks. Issei. I was kind of nervous. This was the first time addressing to my own faction. Then again it went well. Lord X. That's true. Issei. Anyways, God's death must be kept a secret for now. Let the alliance build properly, and until then, we need to make sure that chaos does not build. Speaking of which, how are Hypno, Magin and Herobrine doing what tasks I have assigned them? MX. Understood, the word will not spread. Lord X. They are doing well. Herobrine has already prepared the way you need to speak at the treaty. Magin is looking for Sally Alt and EE, and will soon report. We will bring those two for justice, and Hypno is looking for more demons to join our factions. Issei. Good. Judging by it, you seem to have personal beef with Sally Alt. May I know why? Lord X. She was the twin sister of Sally.exe, my wife, and I want her to bring her to justice. She is the reason why Exisler and Exiterior have been killed. They were my two closest friends, and she personally has killed them. In addition, she even killed her own ex-husband Sonicalt. She hates all Sonic demons, and even Sonic in existence, myself and Magin included. And hence I want to make her pay for her crimes. Issei looked at Lord X. He could see the determination. He remembered that those two were his two generals, as he always wondered where they were, but now he knew that they were long dead, and she was responsible for it. Issei clenched his fist in anger as he spoke. Issei. You have been granted this request. Lord X. Lord X. Thank you, my lord. Issei. Now if you will excuse me, I have some matters to attend to. I would like to be left alone. Issei left as Lord X and MX became sad as Lord X spoke. Lord X. Hey, MX. MX. Yeah. Lord X. Issei has become different, right? MX. I know. I heard his own parents disowned him. Lord X. What? MX kept a hand on his mouth and spoke. MX. SHHH, don't speak loudly. Lord X. Sorry. Anyways, that's just cruel. How could they do such a thing? Lord X felt sadness and anger, sadness directed towards Issei's fate, and anger towards his parents. How could they disown their son, based on false rumors? All demon generals knew about his home life very well, as he had told them earlier. Lord X felt a pang in his heart. He couldn't find in his heart to disown Xenophanes. As bratty and immature the demon was, he was still and is always his son. He would punish him if he was wrong, but he will push him to the right direction, and in case of an event he was framed, not even hell could save whoever responsible from his wrath, after a thorough investigation of course. MX. They did it, based on false rumors by the two girls. I think you know who I am talking about, right? Lord X. Yeah. Lord X growled. He would have torn them a new one, as MX spoke. MX. Don't bother, Bossman has given them a lesson they will not forget. Lord X. That's good, else I would have done the honors. There was a silence between the two friends. After a while Lord X asked. Lord X. Anyways, should we tell Claire and Asia about this? MX. We should at least tell them that he is fine. Bossman told us that we can't let anyone in, not even Asia, for now. Bossman has informed me and Herobrine that to not tell anyone that. Lord X. I bet Hero was against that, right? MX. He was, but he did not argue. He knew that Bossman was unstable. Given what has transpired today, he might end up doing something he would regret. Truth be told, he was afraid that they might also end up turning on him. Right now, he doesn't have many people he could trust or look up to for help. The only reason Bossman trusts us is that we were demons loyal to his parents. Lord X. I can see that. Some shitty parents they are. MX. That's true. There was once again silence between them as MX spoke. MX. I believe that we should prepare for the peace treaty. Lord X. That's true, well let's hope that Issei comes back to his senses. MX nodded. As the duo left to handle the tasks Issei gave for them, they did so, and they hoped that things that would become alright. 2 days later. Guo Academy, 9:30 am. Issei has not shown up for the open house, neither did anyone knew where he was. Ever since his disownment, nobody knew where he is. Claire sighed looking out the window. Her parents had visited her during her open house, as they were surprised that Issei had not shown himself. When they inquired her on her current location, she did not know and almost started crying. However, Riser assured her that he will come back for her. They were unaware of the disownment. Mickey had met the Phoenix family, and they were catching up on old topics. However, when the topic of Issei was presented, Mickey went silent. It did not help the fact that Sierra constantly pestered her old friend to tell where he was. Not to mention the glare Claire gave her the whole time made it worse for her to hide the fact that she had disowned her own son. Arena. Miss Phoenix, can you tell me what the integration of x raised to the power 2 is? Claire had not responded, as the class had turned his attention to her. Asia understood why she was like that. Claire did not respond even after this. Arena. Miss Claire. Arena raised her voice a little bit as Claire snapped back to her senses as she spoke. Claire. Huh? Arena. I asked you a question. Claire looked inside her textbooks as she wondered what she meant. She was embarrassed at this as she asked. Claire. Can you repeat it, Miss Jalovec? Arena sighed. Although she was happy that she was not called bitch sensei, she was worried for Claire. Ever since Issei, the Red Dragon Emperor, went missing, Claire and Asia have not been the same. Arena was worried for the Phoenix member's mental health. She did not know much about him, but Ajuka and Surziches had informed her to be careful of him. Some of the students snickered at this, as the Phoenix family was worried about Claire and Issei. Claire was losing track of everything. They knew how much she meant to him, and he to her, and Issei was not present. Arena repeated the question, and Claire answered it correctly, as she then sat down. As she looked towards the window again, it did not help that Claire was in complete despair. She found an apartment for herself, and stayed in with Asia acting as her roommate. Her parents are still unaware on what happened. Claire. Ice. Where are you? Claire thought in despair as she hoped that wherever he is fine. Claire and Asia walked across the hallway, seeing that things aren't alright. Mitsuda and Motohama were equally worried about their friend when they asked Masami or Mickey. However, their answers were turned up to be nothing. Motohama. Hey Claire. Claire and Asia turned her attention to the boys. Giving a forced smile, she spoke. Claire. Hey guys. The fake smile was easily seen through by the boys as Mitsuda speaks. Mitsuda. You're worried about him, aren't you? Claire nods, losing her smile. Asia then speaks. Asia. So have you asked his parents where he is? Motohama. We did, we even asked his sister, but they refused to tell us anything. When we pestered we were driven by other girls, so yeah. We couldn't find anything. The boys looked sad as Claire spoke softly. Claire. They're trying to keep the truth hidden, huh? Asia. Yeah. Motohama. Not to mention, the Kendo Club members have also been severely beaten. I heard that their parents are demanding justice from the academy and the police, but with no principle. Right now the case has been put to a hold. The girls flinched when they heard this. This was all Issei's doing, but then again, they couldn't feel any sympathy for the girls. Mitsuda. Karma does have an interesting way of paying back those that are in the wrong. The girls nodded with a smile as Claire spoke. Claire. That is true. They got what was coming for them. However, the school thinks otherwise. Asia. Many have gone to visit the girls, expressing their sympathy for their fate. And the hatred towards the ones responsible. The boys sighed in disbelief, however their conversation was cut short when Riser and his parents showed up. Ruvel couldn't show up since he had to perform some business activities for the Phoenix clan. Riser. So you are his friends, huh? Motohama. Yep, we are, we have always been. Riser was not aware of his school life, as Claire did not want to tell them, at least not until Issei decided to tell him. He also still was not aware of what Irina did to Issei, so he still got along with Issei's parents, at least for now. Riser. Anyways, it is good to meet the two of you. The name is Riser, I am Claire's little brother. Claire gave a wry smile and thought. Claire. It is a good thing he does not speak Riser every time he addresses himself. Riser gave a handshake greeting as Mitsuda spoke. Mitsuda. You are her little brother, but you seem more akin to her elder brother. Claire gasped at this as Riser looked at him with a smile. He did not blame him, since many humans before saw and spoke something similar. Claire pouted being called little as Riser spoke. Riser. Many people assume that. But that is the truth, I am her little brother. Riser struggled to speak like a normal human did. He was this close to once again calling himself Riser instead of I during conversations. He was learning thanks to him one day wanting to visit the human world and live there permanently. The boys were surprised at this as Sierra introduced herself. The perverted duo had a bit of a blush. They wanted to have a little chat, however Sona announced. Sona. Can all the parents and their children head to the auditorium right now? The ones that heard it were surprised, however Claire and Asia knew why Sona had called them to the auditorium, as Claire spoke silently. Claire. It's time. Scene change. Time skip brought to you by Chibi Issei watching the open house from his crystal ball and thinking, everything is going as I have foreseen. Auditorium, 11:30 am. Sona was standing in front, along with Tsubaki and Saji standing by the sides, as Sona announced from the microphone on the stage. Sona. I thank you all for coming here, even the parents of the Kendo Club. I am sorry for what happened to the girls. Sona repulsed herself on saying the last part, as she hated saying that. She hated the girls, as they were a disgrace to all females out there. For her at the very least, they constantly put their torment on one boy for his entire life, made him lose his parents, and potentially himself. Then again she blames herself. Had she discovered this a year later, or even much later, she would have put a stop to those girls, a long time ago. The parents mentioned were saddened, having no clue on what happened or what their daughters actually did, as the other parents and children gave their condolences. Only a few that knew the truth thought that they had this coming for them. Sona. Tsubaki, if you may. Sona spoke to her queen and assistant as she nods and heads to the projector and starts to initiate it. Both were well informed as to what they needed to do, and both were disgusted and horrified at the Kendo duo's actions, but at the same time they were fearful, since they did not expect Issei to snap like that, but they were unaware of him being Zalgo's reincarnation. Sona. Now then, before I begin, first I would like to ask, what do you think of the claims and rumors surrounding Issei? Many were angered when his name was called out, some even yelled. Random parent number 1. That pathetic assaulter, how dare his name be spoken. Random parent number 2. He went after my daughter as well, he needs to be arrested. Random student number 1. He is no man, he has disgraced the human race. By attacking Katis and Murayama. Random student number 2. He doesn't deserve to live. The Phoenix family was confused. Riser was angered and horrified by these claims, and so were Mitsuda and Motohama. Riser did not know what they meant, but he sure as hell knew that Issei was not the type of person to do that. He always had the mindset of proven guilty, and for him right now Issei is innocent, as Sierra asked. Sierra. What is going on? Claire. All false rumors and accusations created by two monsters. Lord Phoenix. But, can you tell us what happened? Claire. Oh, don't worry, that will be revealed soon, and needless to say, the whole room is going to be shocked. The Phoenix family were surprised, but nodded nevertheless, as Sona silenced the whole crowd, since the principal was not present, and the people were losing control. The Haidu family looked away from the situation, minus Goru, who was not present due to his injuries. Sona took a deep breath and spoke. Sona. Now, then what if I told you that every rumor was a lie? And I mean every single one of the rumor was a lie. This got the crowd to angrily accuse Sona, however they were eventually silenced. Some even stated that Sona has gone crazy, some stated that it was impossible, many were in complete disbelief and refused to accept the truth. Sona. Now then, allow me to reveal the truth. Sona motioned Tsubaki, who activated the projector. She had also used the speakers to connect to the computer with the help of the Bluetooth, resulting in the audio being loud and clear. The people who heard it were horrified, as it was a conversation between Yui Hadis and Kaori Murayama as they spoke. Hadis. Amara. Did you hear? Did you hear? Murayama. What? Hadis. I heard that many boys had attacked him again. And it was all thanks to us. Murayama. Yeah. All we did was frame him for rape, and that's it. The boys bought it, and we did not even needed to show the proof. Hadis. That's the best part. Given how society has become, people will flock towards any female that is being helpless and attacked by an aggressive male. The girls started laughing, further shocking the crowd as Murayama spoke. Murayama. Issei shouldn't have been related to our Queen Masami. If he wasn't related, we would have left him alone. I have lost count on the amount of times that we have framed him. Hadis. We have framed him for being a pervert, and the best part is that nobody will ever know the truth, and we have the support of our entire club. All have agreed that Issei is a living menace. The girls started laughing once again. Before the screen cuts to black, many of the parents were shocked, horrified and disgusted. Some were in complete disbelief as they yelled their disbelieving nature. Sona. And that's just one of them. The recording was that of a year ago. Issei had to deal with this almost every single day, and this has been going on ever since his elementary school. Tsubaki, will you do the honors? Tsubaki nodded and brought out several CDs and pen drives as Sona spoke. Sona. As you can see, all these have information on these pen drives, have a full list of their crimes and actions. You may take them and see for yourself if you desire. They are free, and you may take them if you would like. Each of these pen drives and CDs have text messages, screenshots, video conversations, audio conversations, and audio messages on their actions. And that's not all. The entire Kendo club is involved, and they have been doing this since Issei joined in Kuo Academy. The Phoenix family was furious with the Kendo club's actions. Even the Haidu family was angry and saddened. Miki was in tears. She had disowned her own son and abused him all this time. Masami clenched her fists, tears dripping from her face. Miki also was crying for the things those two girls did. The Kendo club's parents were shocked and horrified, especially the captain's parents. They believed that they have raised two monsters, as the mothers fell to their knees, as Sona then announced. Sona. And if you are wondering where Issei Haidu is, he is not here, and I doubt he will come back here. It is because he is no longer a Haidu. The crowd was horrified. Sierra glared towards her friend, while Riser glared towards Masami. Both flinched under her stares as she asked. Sierra. What happened to him, Miki? What did you do? Sierra's voice was low, but in reality she was worried for Issei as she was worried for his safety. Miki was silent. She had her head low as Sona spoke. Sona. If you are wondering, Mrs. Phoenix, where they are, it is because Mr. and Mrs. Haidu have disowned their son. Sierra was shocked. Even many of the audience were themselves shocked. Sierra lost her shocked attitude and yelled. Sierra. How could you, Miki? On false rumors. Miki. Sierra. Not a word from you. I don't want to hear it. Riser turned his attention to Claire, who didn't seem all that surprised. Riser. You knew. Claire. I did. Sorry for not telling you, Riser. I wanted to keep this hidden, since I did not want to break your friendship between our families. Sierra turned to Claire and gave a neutral look. Sierra. You should have told us, Claire. Claire. I did not want to break the relationship, that is why. Sierra smiled, seeing the concern of her daughter, and spoke. Sierra. I am not angry with you, Claire. I am angry because of what my friend did. She disowned not even a proper 18-year-old to live on the streets and die. He does not have anyone. I am actually worried for him. That is why you can see my anger. Miki. Sierra, please. Sierra. Not a word, Miki. I told you before, you did this to yourself. Now live with your decision, and once the open house is over, you and I will have some words. Lord Phoenix. So will I with your husband. Is that clear? Miki and Masami nodded. Even they were completely broken by the truth as Sona spoke. Sona. But don't blame the Haidus for everything. You all were equally responsible. All those that had bullied, framed, beat, harassed and tormented him. Those that looked down upon the boy and harassed his family for having a son like him. You are as guilty as they are. Both of you did the same thing, and because of your actions, he is not coming back. I hope all of you are proud of it. Sona's words made many of the students and parents feel saddened and horrified. Some were even crying, claiming that they were responsible for it. Sona. And don't even bother trying to ask for his forgiveness, cause he will never forgive any of you. Sona's did not hold back. She hated herself that she couldn't find evidence earlier, else this would have been much easier. She always pitied the boy and found the rumors too foolish to believe. Even when they were being circulated, she felt sad for not acting upon them earlier. Sona. Henceforth, Youkai and Kaori Murayama are to be expelled and removed from this high school and are blacklisted in all schools across Kuo. The other members of the Kendo Club shall receive 4-month suspension as well as community service for 4 months once their wounds are fixed and become alright. Many parents objected to this, believing the punishment to be harsh. Some believed it to be justified and expected. However, all objections were silenced by Sona. She announced. Sona. Let me make one thing clear, since the principal is not available as well as we don't have a vice principal, I am the acting principal till the admission board chooses a new one. I make the decisions here and no one shall question me. There was complete and utter silence as she then spoke. Sona. Now with that, the announcement is complete. Hope you have a good day. Sona left the crowd to feel regret. As she did, the Phoenix family and Motohama and Mitsuda, along with Asia, also left. They were worried about Issei. Sierra did not want to talk to Mickey, especially not now. Scene change. Time skip brought to you by Chibi. Issei trying to prepare for a grand entrance. Peace Conference, Kuo Academy, 7 p.m. Surziches was the first to appear in the peace conference. He was accompanied by a woman had a childlike body, albeit with large breasts. She was a beautiful girl, looking in her late teens with black hair, tied into twin tails and blue eyes. So is our special guest going to come? Surziches. He will, and he will be the one to decide whether we have an alliance or not. Serafal. The woman now identified as Serafal spoke. Serafal. I hope he is not a meanie. I need to thank him for saving my Sotan. Surziches. I hope so, because if he is a meanie, then consider us done for. Surziches spoke with a bit of fear. He knew Zalgo with the power of the Red Dragon is a disaster, as Serafal picked up on and assured. Serafal. He would be fine, don't worry Surziches-chan. Serafal exclaimed in a happy tone, as she was the only one that could determine the fate of whether the demons and devils will become allies in the future. That is when Sona, Tsubaki, Saji, Asia, Riser and Claire had shown up. They all took to the sides. Nobody was aware minus Claire and Asia that Issei would show up for the peace conference. Riser wanted to help his sister, but he wondered where Issei was. He did not blame him. He was disowned, and his life was a living nightmare even before the disownment. Riser. Ice. Where are you? Riser thought as he looked at Claire, who was practically in despair. Eventually a magic circle opens up revealing Azazel and Vali. Vali looked like a handsome young man with light silver hair and hazel eyes. He is often seen wearing a dark green V-neck shirt with a high-collared black leather jacket over it. He also wears burgundy jeans with a silver chain drooping down over them, and black leather chaps with 3 bands encircling his right calf, and black shoes with black buckles. Azazel spoke with a smile. Azazel. Hope we are not too late. Surziches. No, you are early actually, either way, only you are joining in. Azazel. Yeah, the others are busy doing work in Grigori, after all cause you know. Azazel spoke with a shrug as Serafal glared at him. She wanted to punish him for hurting Sotan, but calm down, she was in a leader position after all. Azazel then turned his attention to the group. He recognized most of the group as he spoke. Azazel. Yo. Where is the dragon boy? The question even earned the attention of Surziches as he spoke. Surziches. Where is Issei? Claire, Asia, do you know where he is? Even Surziches was surprised. He was aware that Issei was with Claire and Asia the whole time. Whenever he encountered them, he might have an idea, since he was aware that he was his reincarnation, but he would have then appeared alongside him. Claire. We don't know where he is. I am sorry. Claire spoke with a hint of sadness. She almost wanted to cry, as Surziches spoke with a smile. Surziches. Don't worry, he is fine. I met him 2 days ago. This caught the group's attention as Asia asked. Asia. Where is he? Surziches. I met him last when I came to pick Ria's home. It turns out, the whole framing was a collaborative effort between her and those humans. Surzich's words shocked the group. Claire was furious. Riser was thankful and furious. Thankful because he broke his marriage off with her, and furious like Claire, as she once again went after him, as Surziches spoke seeing the group's anger and shock. Surziches. If you are wondering where she is sealed underneath the cossetus. This caused many to breathe a sigh of relief. Claire was calmed down by Riser and Asia, as they hoped that she would not do anything reckless. Sona understood that Issei would have been aware that the principal was also involved, and hence that is why he had cursed the principal with his powers, an ironic way to take down the principal. Sona. So after that, you know where he went? Surziches. I honestly don't know. The last time I checked he was there at her club room, and after that, I headed back to prepare for the meeting. Claire. That is where Asia sensed the magical signature. Asia nods as they continue their conversation. Kiba, Masami and Zenobia are the next to appear. Kiba. Did we come late, Lord Lucifer? Surziches. No, you are early. The angels and the demons have yet to arrive. Kiba. I see. Deba looked at Claire, she was still sad. This has been going on for 2 days now. As Zenobia also was saddened, she still remembered how she got the notice of being excommunicated from the church and her final conversation with Irina. Scene change. Zenovia's POV. Flashback. After returning the swords, I heard the news of being excommunicated. I headed to the hotel to say goodbye to my now former friend Irina. Zenovia. So this is it, this is where we part ways. I saw Irina's face, it was a combination of sadness, despair and betrayal. We managed to restore most of the shards, and I gave it to Irina, and she had a look of sadness. She has been this way ever since she last saw Issei run away. Back then, I did not care much about Issei, but now I feel truly bad for him. I remember his face. No one deserves to go through what he did, as Irina spoke. Irina. Yeah, so. You have also decided to betray the church. Zenovia. I haven't, and you know it to be true. I was excommunicated because I was aware of his death. If Irina were present with me, even she would have been excommunicated. But then again, I was starting to see a lot of parallels between myself and Issei. I tried to convince her, but. Zenovia. At least we returned the sword pieces back. I was loyal to the church. Until. Irina. Do what you want. Irina walked away as she had a flight to attend in order to head back to Vatican to report to her superiors. I then spoke silently and walked away. Zenovia. So you would abandon me because I am no longer part of your church, just like you did to your childhood friend. I headed back home. First I knew Issei went missing, and now my partner has left me. I can only find solace in my other friends. I only hope Issei accepts me and does not leave me. We really are similar in a way. End of Zenovia's POV. Flashback ends. Scene change. Zenovia thought of what could have happened. Either way, she waited for Issei, but he did not show up. She was also aware as to why he did not show up. Masami on the other hand was thinking about something else. Sierra had broken up her friendship with Mickey because of her actions, only accepting her if Issei does, maybe, that is why Masami offered to bring her brother back, even if it meant that she had to beat him up to beat some sense into him. That is when a light shined, revealing it to be 3 people, whom were recognized to be Michael, Gabriel and Irina. Michael had the appearance of a handsome-looking man with long blonde hair and green eyes. He wears a red robe with a gold cross on the front of his white alb. He has golden shoulder plates with a white sash and a golden halo set above his head. Gabriel has the appearance of an extremely beautiful woman with curly blonde hair and a voluptuous figure. She wore a traditional priestess outfit with a golden church hat, and the outfit displayed her figure in a prominent manner. Her robe was white, with golden coverings at the edges and ends of her dress. And she wore golden leggings. She also wore a necklace depicting a cross around her neck. Surziches. Michael, Gabriel, I am glad you made it on time. Azazel had to control his perversion looking at her, as Gabriel gave a small smile to the other leaders. Michael then spoke with a smile. Michael. We did, now who are we waiting for? You informed us that another leader would be arriving. Surziches. He should be, he will be the one to decide whether we have peace or not, but until then, we need to wait. Gabriel. May I know why we need to wait? You haven't informed us. Surziches. He would be. I can't inform you because. I asked him too. This caused everyone's attention. The doors opened up revealing Majin Sonic, Lord X, MX and Hypno. This caused the leaders many minus Surziches to be slightly worried on who could be the person that is commanding them. Claire and Asia were happy to see their friends there as a dark ominous aura flowed into the room, making both Gabriel and Michael nervous. He knew the one displaying the aura was a very strong demon that was going to show himself up. The man then showed himself up in the room. Many were surprised at first to see a different man, especially those who knew how the leader looked like. Hello, gentlemen and ladies, it is a pleasure to meet all of you, so shall we get this meeting on the road? The man exclaimed, his voice sounded a lot similar. Claire and Asia recognized the voice, as Claire spoke in a low tone, tears falling from her eyes. Issei. Previously Claire and Asia were present in the open house, as she was lost in her own world. Irina Jelavic, who was the teacher, asked a question to Claire, who was in her own world, as she was snapped out of it by Irina, who asked what she was doing. She had an idea that this was due to the Red Dragon's doing. As she eventually answered, the class started snickering as this was going on. Claire, Asia and the others headed to the outside, where they meet up with Mitsuda and Motohama, who were equally worried about Issei's absence. Eventually they met up with the rest of the Phoenix family, as they all headed inside the auditorium as Sona had called them. Sona starts the announcement, as she speaks about Issei, causing many to be angry. However, Sona reveals a conversation between the girls shocking and shattering many. Some were still in disbelief. However, Sona revealed a whole list of pen drives and CDs, as many were even more shocked. She took it one step further, revealing that Issei was disowned, he would never come back, and also revealing that the others were equally if not more worse than the girls. The truth is that many harassed him to the point of mental breakdown, and he eventually ran away. She stated that he hoped that they are proud of their actions. She then left as the others contemplated on their actions. Time has passed, as Serziches has appeared. As he saw that nobody had appeared, it was completely empty. He was joined by Serafal Leviathan, Sona's older sister, and she consoled Serziches, who was worried for him. As Claire, Riser, Sona and Asia arrived, upon seeing the missing Issei, he was surprised, but did not ask. Eventually Azazel and Vali also joined the meeting, as Azazel introduced himself, after which Azazel asks where Issei is, causing Serziches also to wonder where he was. However, with him being missing, Serziches revealed that he had met her, and he was fine. Additionally, he also revealed that this was Ria's doing, making many angry for her actions, before anyone could say anything else. Serziches added that she was revealed to be imprisoned in Cocytus right now. Many sighed in relief, as Riser mentally thanks Issei for breaking his marriage with her. Nobody knew where Issei was. Eventually Zenobia, Kiba and Masami joined in, as Zenobia remembered her final conversation with Irina, as she realized that she was abandoned like Issei was. Eventually Michael, Gabriel and Irina also show up, as the duo greet him. Serziches greets them, as Michael wonders who was waiting for their meeting. Serziches revealed that he would be the one who decides whether peace or war takes place. Upon further inquiry, Serziches was about to reveal the secret, however the demons reveal themselves, and the leader eventually shows up. Claire immediately recognized the voice, as it belonged to Issei. Rafi eventually joined her master husband. She was slightly late, as she apologized for her lateness, however Serziches responded with "It's alright." Claire, on the other hand, clenched her heart. She almost wanted to hug Issei, but was stopped when Lord X intervened, who spoke. Lord X, I know you two are worried for him and genuinely care for him. Claire, but Lord X, not now Claire, he needs time, he still is not in the right state of mind. Lord X spoke softly and gave a sad smile. Claire reluctantly nodded at this, as the demons noticed she truly cared for him. Riser consoled his sister, while looking at Issei in disbelief with one thing in mind. Riser, what happened to Riser's friend? Riser looked worriedly as Issei took a seat, radiating demonic aura, as the one sensing it became pale, especially Michael, Azazel and Gabriel. Michael, Zalgo. Michael thought worriedly. He knew what exactly happened to their father, and so did Gabriel. Both looked at each other in worry. If the man in front of them was Zalgo, then the demons would definitely attack them, and have a good reason to do so. Both Gabriel and Michael never looked down upon demons. In fact, they cared and respected them. Gabriel even had a slight crush on Zalgo. But it was a different story for the god of the Bible. He was fearful and sort of jealous of Zalgo's power, even though he did not show it. Gabriel did not know what to do now. She was afraid, because of her father's actions, that Zalgo might outright hate her, because of what her father did. Then again, here he is right in front of them, only this time, he has a new face. Issei. Hello, I would be the one that would be representing the demon faction. My name is Issei, and I am the leader of the demon faction. Issei spoke as he sat down, making the angels nervous, as Zalgo Issei sensed it, and sighed. Issei. I am not here to exact scores in any way. Michael, Gabriel, we are here for one thing and one thing only, to sign a peace treaty, so you may relax around me. And if you are wondering how I was able to figure it out, it is because demons have an innate ability to sense negative emotions, especially anger and nervousness. Michael. Right. I am sorry. So do you have anything to say? Azazel. Azazel responded in an uninterested tone. Azazel. Yeah, I take full responsibility. Kakabiel was my subordinate after all. I take full responsibility. Issei. The way you say it almost seems like you aren't even interested in the actions of your former subordinate. Azazel. I was always interested more in sacred gear research, and I did not check on them, and for that I would like to apologize. I can't control him, he had his own will. Issei nodded. He knew the Kakabiel could keep up if not defeat Azazel if he wanted to, however something else came up on his mind. Issei. Very well then, what about Rainer and her group? Asia tensed when she heard her name. Claire and Riser calmed her down, as Issei continued to speak. Issei. What about all the fallen angels that have targeted other sacred gear users, stalked them, killed them, and potentially used them, only for them to be disposed like me and several others? Answer me, Azazel, what about them? Asia gritted her teeth remembering the event. She was furious as to when she remembered how she was toyed and fooled by Rainer. Azazel did not have an answer. Even the angel and devil faction wanted to hear what Azazel had to say. As he spoke with a deep bow and a sad tone. Azazel. I am sorry, I couldn't stop them, this is all my fault. I only wanted them to be observed, nothing more, nothing less. It will not happen next time, I will be more stricter. Issei sighed, then again, Azazel was right, he cannot control their actions. Vali did not even bat an eye, everything Issei said was on point, with only a small twist on his part, except for fallen angels. The devils were the one to torment him, he gritted his teeth remembering the event. He would certainly gain payback. Asia eventually calmed down, as Surziches spoke. Surziches. Now then, with that done, is there anyone else that needs to speak? Issei. I do. Sorry I had this in mind, but I believe Zalgo has some words with you, Michael. Issei activated the boosted gear, shocking the angels even further. Azazel was also surprised at this, he was the reincarnation of Zalgo, and the wielder of the boosted gear. Michael and Gabriel were terrified, Zalgo was already strong enough to contend and dragon gods, even though he has never tried fighting anyone, given his nature. But now he wields a mid-tier Longinus, something that even the world may not be ready for. Michael. He could conquer the world if he wanted to, not even the top 10 strongest beings could stop him. I honestly don't know how did this existence come into fray, oh father, what have you done? Michael was scared beyond belief, he was the leader of the sky, which meant the wrongdoings of God would fall onto him, he would be terrified if the demon faction decided to go to war. Zalgo then spoke from the boosted gear. Zalgo. Hello Michael. The voice of the Demon King made many pale, especially Irina, Michael, Gabriel, Azazel and Riser. Riser was glad that he has a strong friend, but was worried that Issei was not in the right state of mind. He held back during his fight against him in the underworld. Michael and Gabriel were fearful on what Zalgo has to say. He does have a vendetta against the angel faction. They were worried if the demons were to go to war against the angels, then it would have been all over for them. Irina was the most shocked, her former childhood friend was considered to be one of the most strongest beings on the planet. She had heard from Michael on how strong Zalgo is, little did they know that he would be coming here. Lasami was the most affected, she never thought her brother would be so cruel, so ruthless. She had heard from Zero on who Zalgo exactly was, but little did she know that it was her own twin brother this whole time, and she knew that he must have hidden it from them. But she still believed she could bring him back home, she must, for her parents and her own sake, and perhaps for her brother's sake. Zalgo. I was honestly surprised, I was expecting that bastard to show up from his side. He was interrupted when Gabriel spoke in a loud tone. Gabriel. Father is not a bastard, Zalgo. Out of all the angels, Gabriel was the closest to Yahweh, the biblical god, and she did not tolerate anyone that badmouthed her father. Although she was known to be passive and much nicer, she was at her most vulnerable at the moment, as she had a crush on Zalgo, but to hear him badmouth her now deceased father was sort of heartbreaking for her. Zalgo. Deny it all you want, but to me, he will always be a cowardly, sniveling bastard to me. I have lost any and all respect to me, that is why I want to say something, and listen well. The words out of Zalgo's words were breaking down Gabriel, he hated her father, she started to weep with Irina consoling her. Michael and Azazel watch helplessly, they were aware, or the latter being sort of aware of what happened to him, to cause such bitterness between the two former friends. Michael clenched his fist, but took a deep breath in order to prevent his fall. Zalgo. Michael, keep this in mind, if you try to backstab or betray Issei like your father did to me, we will not hesitate to wipe out the remaining angel population and drive them to extinction. And you don't want a demon king who can rival the dragon gods, as well as one of the strongest red dragon emperors of all time as your enemy. Zalgo declared as the angels and exorcists in the room were terrified. Michael and Gabriel were even more fearful of what happened, however someone spoke from the audience, gaining everyone's attention. Surziches. Enough. Lord Zalgo, please, we are here to make peace, not trigger a war, and you too Michael, both of you, I am asking you to stop this. Issei nods, he respected Surziches enough for a while, even Michael calmed down, and after a while, Gabriel calmed down as well. As Surziches spoke. Surziches. So does anyone have anything to share? Michael was the first to speak up as he spoke. Michael. We shall share our healing facilities to the rest of the factions. And Lord Zalgo, I give you my word, I will not repeat the same mistakes my father made, and that's a promise. Michael spoke, turning his attention to Zalgo, as Issei spoke. Issei. Fine, but make sure you keep your word. As from us demons, we will give our skills in demonic magic, as well as the power necessary in times of crisis. Surziches. I and the devils will share the evil pieces technology. Azazel. And we will share our sacred gear research. The other nod in agreement to the facilities and abilities to the other factions, as Surziches speaks. Surziches. With that, the three factions will be known under one pantheon, the Christian pantheon, and the demon faction will be part of the alliance. Is there any question? Azazel. Yes, what are the Dragon Emperor's statement on the alliance? Issei was the first to speak. Issei. You have already heard my statement, as long as the demons are alright, we shall have peace. The demons in the room smiled, as Vali spoke. Vali. I don't care as long as I get to fight strong opponents. Everyone thought of him as a battle maniac, with many sweat dropping, as Masami speaks. Masami. Well, I also desire peace. I do not desire a world where sacred gear users are hunted, like Nai-chan said. Masami declared, as Claire and some others glared at her. They believed that she doesn't have the right to call her that. Issei wanted to tell her not to call her that, but he decided to save it for later. He sighed, as Surziches spoke. Surziches. So with it this will be called the Kuo Treaty. Any questions? Surziches tried to complete the statement, but time suddenly stops, and so did most of present minus the leaders, exorcists and the dragon emperors. However, Issei managed to perform a space-time magic move, called Time Release, which caused everyone else to snap back to normal. Surziches. It seems like time has stopped. Sona thought of who could be possible, and she was surprised that they managed to break through the seals. She then spoke. Sona. I have an idea on who did this. The group looked towards Sona as she spoke towards looking at the orc building. Sona. Riaz had a bishop who had the sacred gear forbidden Baylor view. I believe it was his doing. He must have been captured. He was not that strong to trigger such a sudden stop in time. Everyone minus Urziches was surprised by the information as Issei asked. Issei. So where is he and what was Riaz doing with him? Surziches. She had kept him in a room as she was too weak to control him. That was on my orders. I was going to ask her to release him eventually, but with this happening, he must still be in that sealed room. Sona. His name is Gaspar Vladi. He was a vampire that was part of the Vladi clan. Long story short, he had a bad past, and hence he is afraid of the outside world. He is also socially awkward thanks to his past, and he has been in that room since a long time. Issei. So that Riaz did not even help him with his insecurities. Sigh, I will go and rescue him. Issei gets up to head for the door when Azazel speaks while handling 2 bracelets. Azazel. Give this to Gaspar, that should keep his power under control. Think of this as an apology to my negligence. I cannot change the past, but I can change the present. I will help in whatever way I can. Issei takes the bracelets and leaves, while the others could only watch. As this was going on, Azazel spoke. Azazel. Hey Vali, how about you go and mess up their ranks? Seeing the White Dragon Emperor would cause some panic. Vali shrugs and responds. Vali. Fine, I will do it. It is boring being in this meeting anyways. Vali leaves as Masami speaks. Masami. May I go as well, Lord Lucifer? Surziches. Yes, you may. Masami nods. Both Zero and Albion speak from their sacred gears. Vanishing Dragon Balance Breaker. Frost Dragon Balance Breaker. Masami and Vali join the fight against the magicians that were attacking the conference, with Issei heading the club room. Scene change. The Cult Research Club room, 8 p.m. Issei looked around the situation as he saw a young boy who was an androgynous-looking male with platinum blonde hair and pinkish-violet eyes. His hair is styled in short bob cut with several small fringes over his forehead, and he has pointed ears. Kiba describes him as looking like a beautiful girl. Unlike the rest of the boys of Kuo Academy who wear the boys' uniform, he wears the Kuo Academy girls' school uniform with thigh-high socks, creating a Zetai Ramiki. Issei. I assumed Gaspar was a boy. Issei spoke softly as Drake responded. Drake. He is, partner. Issei. Then why is he wearing girls' clothing? Zalgo. I think it is because of the bullying he endured, then again I am not sure of it. Issei. Riaz doesn't know how to fix problems, she only creates more of them. Issei sighs as he decided to jump into the center. He had entered stealthily, taking and slaying any of the magicians that he found, getting in his way. As he saw around, he then spoke. Issei. Hello there. The group turned around as many of the magicians aimed their weapons towards him. One of them spoke. Magician. You really are a fool to show yourself here, demon. Issei. I guess. You aren't half bad, my dear. Well, would you surrender the guest? The one known as Gaspar speaks. Gaspar. Kill me. At the very least, they cannot use me then. Magician, number 2. You should have controlled this weapon. Instead of letting us control him. Issei sighs as he speaks. Issei. You are one bold vampire, aren't ya? Issei activates chaos magic, shocking the magicians present. One of them tried to put a sword to his neck as they speak. Magician, number 3. Mover, he gets it, demon. Issei. Oh, I don't think so. In breakneck speeds he immediately moves towards Gaspar and decapitates the magician, with the others watching in horror. Issei. Gaspy. Things might get ugly. I would suggest you to close your eyes if you cannot take blood and violence. Gaspar. Yes. Gaspar did so, as Issei made a shadow blade with his hands, as the others used their magic to attack them. In an instant they all are killed, as their heads are easily decapitated, killing them instantly, releasing a squirt of blood. Issei. Now then Gasper, don't open your eyes till I say so. Gasper? Yes. Issei releases Gasper from the restraints and applied the bracelet on his left arm, he then lifted him up as he got out of the room. Issei. Now you can open your eyes. Gasper nods as he speaks. Gasper? Thank you. Issei. Just call me Lord Issei, kiddo. Gasper smiled and spoke. Gasper? Thank you. Lord Issei. But how will we get out? Ria's president has left me all alone for the past 2 days, there was food, but I only had snacks for the past 2 days. Issei clenched his fists in anger, he calmed down after a while, and he spoke with a smile. Issei. Don't worry, I will take you to a good restaurant once this is all over. Gasper? Really? Gasper exclaimed as Issei gave a smile and spoke. Issei. Yep, now let's go, the others are waiting for you. They will explain what happened to Ria's president 2 days. Gasper nods as he watches Avali and Masami take down several magicians in their balance breakers as Gasper asks. Gasper? Mister, can you do that? Issei. I can. But I prefer other methods. Either way, let's go. Scene change. Issei and Gasper head back as Sona is the one that speaks. Sona. I can't thank you for saving him, Lord Issei. Issei. Aside from the kid having some issues, he is a good kid, speaking of which, who are our attackers? Surziches. I have no idea, but Grafia is analyzing the barrier and should find out our attackers. As the others are watching the duo dragon emperors dealing with magicians, as they did, an uninvited guest shows up in the form of tall bespectacled woman with a voluptuous figure. She had tan skin with long brown hair tied into a bun with a headset, and she had blue-gray eyes. She wore an extremely low-cut dress, and it had a high slit which exposed a large portion of her breasts. Greetings Mao Lucifer, Seraphol. How are you doing? Surziches. Kateria Leviathan, what are you doing here? Kateria. Isn't it obvious, I am here for what your intentions are for the devils, and I oppose and reject them wholeheartedly. Issei. Well, aside from looks she has not got much. Then again, as expected from a narrow-minded fool. Kateria glared at Issei, who then spoke. Kateria. Who are you, human? Issei. Lord Issei, representative of Zalgo, it is not a pleasure to meet you, Kateria. Kateria. Zalgo, huh? You should be on our side, we would like to have demons to join us. Kateria tried to convince him, however Issei spoke. Issei. Sorry, but I have better things to do than satiate a 500-plus-year-old virgin lady who didn't even bag a single boyfriend due to her nutcracker of a pride. Kateria fell back as she angrily glared at Issei, she then yelled while the others were snickering. You. However Azazel intervened, who spoke. Azazel. Now, as much as I would enjoy a roasting session, I think I would take it from here, hope you don't mind. Surziches. You can, Azazel. Issei. All yours. Azazel stepped forward as they both took to the skies. Azazel. Now then, how are you planning to defeat me, virgin lady? Kateria got angry at the nickname as she yelled. Kateria. You. With this, I have the snake of office. Kateria revealed a snake symbol merged with the symbol of infinity in her hands as she spoke. Kateria. Hahaha. Now I am unstoppable. A snake started to coil around her and then are absorbed into her as she starts moaning due to her power as Azazel speaks while activating the artificial sacred gear, Downfall Dragon Spear. Azazel. Balance Breaker. Azazel entered into his balance breaker as he was now it creates a golden dragon armor, resembling the scale mail with purple jewels, summoning a 2-pronged light spear. Azazel then taunts. Azazel. Are you that desperate to get into bed? You can just call me, I would be happy to help you in that. Kateria. Mock me all you want. But you will not survive tonight. The duo started to fight, with Azazel fighting with multiple light spears, and Kateria, he dodged all her attacks with ease, however she got hit by several of light spears, she eventually staggered, her hair was now opened up, and she lost her spectacles. She then extended her arms and wrapped around Azazel as Azazel spoke. Azazel. Oi. Oi. Aren't you getting handsy with me? Azazel twirled around easily removing her hands off with me, Kateria was getting angrier by the second, as Azazel was doing nothing but mocking her, he then unleashed several light spears, as she was completely outmatched and outmaneuvered by Azazel. Seraphol then spoke. Seraphol. Kat-chan, please don't do this. You need to stop. Kateria. Don't worry, Seraphol. Today, I'll kill you at this place and take the title of Mao Leviathan for myself. Then, Office will become the god of the new world. It's fine if he's just a symbol. The system, the laws, and the doctrine will be constructed by us. Michael, Azazel, and Lucifer Surziches, your era is over. Issei then spoke. Issei. It seems like talk no jutsu doesn't work on anyone, it seems like it. Azazel then spoke. Azazel. Well, it seems like you will die, like you were born, a virgin. Pteria finally snapped as she wrapped her hands around Azazel's arm as she spoke. Pteria. If I am going to go down, I will take you with me. Pteria activated a self-destruction spell as she tried to take out Azazel with him, as Azazel speaks. Azazel. Well, I think a hand is enough for you, use it to satisfy your virginity. Now then, goodbye. Azazel broke his hand off and used his free hand to aim the light spear to take out Pteria, killing her instantly. As she died in an explosion, Azazel sighed and dispelled his balance breaker. He knew that there was still some work that could be done. He knew that he would have to contact Fafnir more, however he fell down due to a thud. Azazel. Well, it seems like I have been slacking off. Well, Volley, care to explain yourself? The others turned their attention to Volley as he flew above. He then responded. Volley. Indeed, the other side has been quite favorable. Allow me to reintroduce myself. My name is Volley Lucifer, the son of a human woman and a pure-blood devil, as well as the wielder of the Longinus Divine Dividing. Azazel looked in intrigue while the others were surprised, especially Seraphil and Serziches, as they did not know a Lucifer descendant, as Azazel then spoke. Azazel. He, the Lucifer descendant and the wielder of the Divine Dividing, you are an anomaly, something that shouldn't have existed. Azazel spoke with a chuckle, as Volley responded. Volley. Anomaly. More like a miracle. Then again, I always wish to fight for the thrill of it, and peace is not the way I should be going. This started to anger Issei, since the goal of the peace treaty was to start peace, not a war, as Azazel asked. Azazel. You know, Shemazai performed some research. There has been a group that is gathering those for some malicious purpose. It is against the peace treaty the factions have proposed. Is it true, Volley? Volley. Indeed, that is correct, and the leader of the Cows Brigade is none other than the Ouroboros Dragon Office. The group paled at this, however Issei was getting angrier by the second. Even Office chose violence over peace, given that's not how he remembered Office to be, as Volley then continued. Volley. Relax. Office doesn't care about your alliance, as long as it does not interfere her goals in achieving peace, she could care less, and yes, I am only supporting her. Issei sighed in relief as he thought. Issei. You haven't changed, still fighting against him, are you? Volley then turned his attention to Issei as he spoke. Volley. So Masami, Issei, think about how fate works. I mean, you two were born in such a mediocre family, neither your parents have any special magic power. This made Issei angry even more, as he hated being associated with his parents, more seeing the rising anger the demons paled, and so did hit friends. Masami was angry as Volley insulted her parents. Volley. Heh. You may be a representative, but you really are a weak demon, weaker than me. Volley taunted, making Issei angrier. He hated Volley's taunting him. It was about time for him to make him show his place. The demons were also getting angry at the insults, as they wanted to eviscerate the prideful Lucifer once and for all. However, their concern was towards Issei. He was on his breaking point. Volley. Maybe I should kill some of your demons, that is when I shall see your true power. That was it. Many of the leaders were now afraid of what happened, as Azazel yelled. Azazel. You fool. What have you done, Volley? Azazel was fearful. Issei was now truly pissed as he activated the boosted gear as he spoke in a demonic voice. Issei. You won't have. Then you shall have one. Issei started to chant the Juggernaut Drive, only this time, it was different. He activated a barrier to prevent anyone from interrupting. I, who am about to corrupt. Am the demonic dragon who has killed the god and showed him to be stoppable. I void the infinite and I destroy the dream. Issei's armor transformed into his Juggernaut Drive, but it was almost black. There was corruption leaking out from every side, like an endless reservoir. Juggernaut Drive appears very similar to the armor with a much more dragon-like appearance. It takes a more gigantic form. The armor possesses claw-like growths on the hands and feet, as well as horns and a fanged mouth on the helmet. However, unlike the usual red, it was completely black, with red gems. It almost looked demonic in every way. As Volley had a smirk, he was going to enjoy this fight. Little does he know that he almost is going to die a horrible death. Previously we saw Issei settle down at the peace conference, as some wanted to go and meet him. Lord X stopped them, claiming that Issei needs to wait. His mind is not stable right now. With that, the peace conference has started as Azazel takes the full blame. However, his words were pretty hollow, due to which Issei calls out on him for his actions. In addition, he makes him remember the amount of times fallen angels have gone rogue due to the fact of them trying to kill sacred gear users, causing Azazel to apologize for his actions. As Serziches wanted to close the meeting, Zalgo decided to speak up as he makes Gabriel cry, calling her father nothing but a hypocrite and coward. He also warns the angels that if they try anything wrong, he will not hesitate to exterminate them from existence, causing many to be terrified of him. However, Surziches managed to stop a quarrel as they all agreed to share some of their secrets and technology with the other faction in order to facilitate peace. Azazel then asked the opinion of the Dragon Emperors. After hearing their opinion, Surziches triggered the peace treaty, calling it Kuo Treaty. As they had more conversations, time suddenly stopped. However, it was fixed by Issei as the Dragon Emperors headed out to create some chaos. Meanwhile, Issei went to save Gasper. After one bloody battle, Gasper was rescued. It was later revealed that Gasper was left alone in his room as Issei promised to treat him to some good food. After that, Issei gave Gasper to Sona. As he looked at the two emperors created, another guest joins in. This was Kateria Leviathan. After Issei rejected her, calling her a 500-year-old virgin, she angrily fights, however was forced to face off against Azazel, who further taunted and harassed her. He then overwhelmed her by bringing his own sacred gear, aiming a light spear to her chest, killing her for good. However, Vali smacks him to the ground, revealing that he was the traitor this whole time. As Vali further taunts and revelations are made, it is revealed that Office currently leads the Cows Brigade, as Vali is now working for her. However, it is revealed that she has no intentions of going against the peace treaty, since it is not a problem. This relives the tension. However, Vali makes the mistake of taunting Issei and Vali. He further aggravates him, claiming that he would kill some of the demons for fun. The fact that this happened was enough to aggravate him, making him activate his own juggernaut drive. However, it was mixed with Zalgo's power, shocking many, and Vali had a smirk. He wanted to trigger this in Issei, however this might be his undoing. Issei roared into the area as Surziches and the faction leaders created a shield with their full might, preventing any energy from hurting any civilians present. Herobrine teleported inside, since Issei Zalgo asked him to lead the demon army if things went south. Herobrine. What in Zalgo's name happened here? MX. Lucifer Brat thought it was a good idea to provoke Lord Issei and taunt him to fight. Herobrine. What the hell is wrong with him? Azazel then sheepishly replied as he spoke. Azazel. Vali has always been a battle maniac, but I now fear for his life. Asia. You should be. The group looked towards the former nun as Asia spoke. Asia. Issei has never gone into his full power in the fear of attracting unwanted attention, especially from you-know-who. But Vali, him triggering will bring people that will prevent peace from happening. The three faction leaders were afraid they would have intervened, but couldn't because of the corruption surrounding Issei's drive. Masami was with them, in worry. She did not know what to do at this point. Claire. And that's not all. Issei has been a ticking time bomb of emotions. His disownment, coupled with Vali's taunts and threats, have triggered that bomb, and he has been bottling up his emotions since a long time. Many were shocked. Those that did know of him getting disowned were saddened by the amount of trauma the boy had to go through. Gabriel felt even more guilty and remorse as her wings started to flicker in color. Michael. Sister, your wings. Gabriel. Oh right. Sorry. Gabriel truly felt bad for both Issei and Zalgo, both going to traumatic betrayals, as Gabriel wanted to help him, not out of fear, but out of concern and kindness. She wanted to make sure that she could at the very least talk to him. Riser was confused to ask his sister. Riser. Bottling up his emotion. I don't understand. Claire. He has been suffering for a long time, thanks to certain idiots who decided to toy with him. This anger amplified. His own parents were responsible, his sister was responsible, and finally your friend was also responsible. Riser was shocked. He never got to properly meet Irina, but now, he looked towards her and asked. Riser. Irina. Did you toy with Issei? Riser was shaking. He did not want this to be true. Even the angels were curious as to what happened as she spoke. Irina. I was only friends with him because I wanted to be friends with his sister. Even then, I still saw him as a friend, albeit not as close as Masami was. I am sorry. Irina bowed in apology as Riser was gritting his teeth in anger. Even Masami was equally angry as she had toyed with her brother as well. Riser was shaking. It took him everything to not hurt his friend, but now, he couldn't know if he could trust Irina. Even the angels were angry at Irina as Michael spoke. Michael. Irina. Your actions are disgusting, and you will be punished once we head back to heaven, is that clear? Irina nodded as Gabriel spoke with sadness. Gabriel, I am truly disappointed in you, Irina. Irina was looking down, ashamed. Had she not believed those rumors, none of this would have happened. Riser was the next to speak. Riser is sorry. From now on, Riser can no longer trust you. Riser also is going to break his friendship with you, Irina. Riser spoke with a sad tone. He really did not want to break their friendship, but he felt betrayed. If she hurt one of Riser's friends like that, he was not going to let it slide, and besides, she might use him and discard him as well. He might give her a chance, only if Issei forgives and becomes friends with her. Although Riser did not believe that is going to happen. Irina was tearful at the news, as she wept silently. Zenobia wanted to console her, and so did Masami. They felt like she was really ashamed of her past actions. However, Zenobia also believed that Irina would end up turning on her. Both Riser and Zenobia couldn't trust Irina right now. As for Masami, she also started to lose faith in Irina, but she kept her friendship although it was on thin ice, since she did not want to abandon Irina and leave her to be despaired. She hoped that Irina would change in the future. Masami. Karma has a twisted way of biting us in the back, huh? Zero. True, although I am surprised that you are still friends with her, even after all she has done. Masami. I know, I have hopes that she will change in the future, just like I have hopes that Nai-chan would one day come back to the family. Zero sighed. She was aware that Issei will not come back, especially thanks to her host's neglect and their parents' abuse, but you never know what happens in the future. She only hoped things don't go from bad to worse. Issei and Vali looked at each other as Albion mentally spoke. Albion. Vali, I doubt this is a good idea. Zalgo is not someone to be taken lightly. Vali. Oh, relax, he can't beat me, he is only bluffing. Vali then turned to Issei and spoke. Vali. Since you decided to not hold back, so will I not hold back. Issei responded in a distorted voice. Do your worst. Vali decided to activate his Juggernaut drive. He then chanted. I, who am about to awaken. Am the heavenly dragon who lost all to the principles of supremacy. I envy the infinite and I pursue the dream. I shall become the white dragon of supremacy. And I shall take you to the limits of innocence. Juggernaut drive. Vali entered into his Juggernaut drive, as his drive also resembled that of a dragon, however it was white in color, as he flew up to get the higher ground against Issei. Vali's wings radiated as it yelled one word. Divide. 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 Vali divided Issei's power multiple times, staggering him for a while. Issei responded with the boosted gear calling out. Boost. 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 Issei stabilized his power as the two dragons lunged towards each other. Albion then warned. Albion. You only have 10 minutes before you lose control of the drive. Vali. I know, but that is more than enough to beat him down. Vali unleashed a white beam of pure demonic energy towards Issei, who responded with a Grimoire crest and activated Power of Destruction. This surprised Vali as he spoke. Vali. Power of Destruction. You surprise me, rival, you managed to bag in their signature power for yourself. Issei responded in a distorted tone. Vali had difficulty trying to understand what Issei was trying to say. His voice was too hard for the Lucifer descendant to comprehend. Scene change. Majin. This is getting bad. The group turned to Majin, who spoke. Majin. That Lucifer descendant is a fool for provoking Master, but that's not my primary concern, it's the corruption being released off his body. Surziches. How is that bad? Majin. It's simple, it is eating away his mind, triggering his negative memories every time, not to mention, he is a ticking time bomb, and considering Issei's bad past, then. Surziches. It is a recipe for disaster. On seeing this, Claire and Asia rushed, but were stopped by Surziches and Riser, respectively. They struggled as they exclaimed. Claire. Let me go, Lord Lucifer. Asia. He needs us. Surziches. I am sorry the two of you, but right now, he is not thinking rationally. Riser looked away, helplessly, and so did the others. They were helpless in this situation, as Lord X spoke. Lord X. Right now, he is unstable, that is why I did not meet the two of you with him. Had the peace treaty went well, this wouldn't have happened, but Vali went out of his way to screw with him. MX. Bossman was at his lowest. If he sees you, who knows what might happen, he would even end up attacking the two of you. Peregrine. And we know how much he cares for you, especially you Asia and Claire, that is why we are not letting you go. I am sorry. The girls stopped struggling as they helplessly watched, tears falling from their eyes. Even Riser looked away, as he slightly glared towards Irina and Masami, as she was one of the reasons this had happened. Scene change. Issei unleashed several blasts of pure demonic energy towards Vali, who flew up to dodge the attacks. Issei unleashed a fireball towards Vali when in air, as Vali was barely able to dodge. Divide. 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 Issei lost a fraction of his strength, as Vali knew that there was a way he could end this, but it was risky. Issei once again stabilized himself as he spoke. You're just like your great-grandfather. The prideful weak devil. Issei decided to release some of the corruption and aim it towards Vali as Albion announced. Albion. Volley, if that thing hits you, it will take over your sacred gear. Volley nodded as he flew away dodging the corruption. Volley kept dividing, eventually reaching his limit after 100 more divides. He knew that he had to end this. Volley. Half dimension. The color glowed of Volley's dividing yellow, as Issei felt himself getting crushed. This was dividing's strongest move for now. As Issei started to get crushed, he knew what he needed to do. He activated corruption around him, as the spell started to get corrupted, and eventually it was resisted. Issei stood tall, roaring. Is that all? Volley forcefully disabled the Juggernaut drive, as it was eating away at his sanity. He looked in horror, as Issei was not affected at all, as Issei stopped speaking in a distorted voice, and spoke normally. Issei. Now, my turn. In a flash Issei appeared in front of Volley, who was in his regular balance breaker. As he towered on him, Issei unleashed a claw swipe that mauled Volley severely, as he was sent flying immediately. Volley. Ai. Volley screamed in pain, as he smashed towards a nearby fall. Volley tried to escape, but Issei noticed this. Issei. Oh, you aren't going anywhere, my dragon. Issei used Shadow Bind to imprison Volley, preventing from escaping. Issei unleashed several volleys of pure demonic energy of chaos magic. Given the instability of chaos magic, it exploded on contact, dealing significant damage to him, as he kept screaming due to pain. However, in Issei, the corruption was infecting his mind, as the voices spoke. Torture him. Kill him. Volley had lost his balance breaker armor. He had several wounds, his clothes were tattered, as he was bruised all over. The last chaos magic energy was enough to put him on the ground. As he glared towards Issei, he then spoke. Issei. Not so tough are you? Lucifer. Volley. Damn you, Zalgo, damn you. Volley yelled, as Issei spoke. Issei. Oh, where is your pride, your valor? You were talking so big about hurting my race. Where is your pride? Where it is gone? Volley gritted his teeth as he glared in anger. Issei then released the Shadow Bind. As he was about to end his life with one blast, someone took him before he could see who it is. Issei. Who dares? Issei shouted, as he turned his attention who was holding Volley by the shoulder, young man with short light-colored hair. He is dressed in ancient Chinese armor that was used during the period. You seem in a terrible shape. Aren't ya, Volley? Volley. Shut it, Bhikkhu. Oh no, watch out. Before Bhikkhu could react, Issei slammed him to the wall, as he growled. Issei. You dare intervene in a fight, now you will pay the utmost price. Bhikkhu used his staff to protect himself, however he still felt the impact sending him flying, as he spoke. Bhikkhu? What kind of monster is he? Your nightmare? Issei unleashed a volley of sonic booms, causing both Bhikkhu and Volley to grit their teeth. Bhikkhu had it worst, as he was a Youkai. Bhikkhu? What the fuck? Ah. Volley. Make it stop. Issei ignored them, well disoriented. He unleashed a claw swipe, sending Bhikkhu flying, significantly damaging him. He was knocked across a wall, as he spoke. Issei. Now, what will you do? Your friend is down, you are powerless to stop me, and tonight is your last day on this planet. Issei unleashed a concentrated blast of power of destruction. He grew fearful of not surviving the attack, however before the attack could connect, Volley was once again saved. Issei growled at his target escaping. He turned his attention to Azazel, who saved Volley from the attack, as he spoke in a tone of pure anger. Azazel. You idiot. You fucking idiot. What were you thinking provoking him like that? Volley. I didn't expect him to turn into that. Azazel and Volley turned their attention to Issei, who growled. You will pay for stealing my prey, Azazel. Issei unleashed a blackish-red energy blast of dark magic towards Azazel, who used his barrier to protect himself. Unlike Volley, he was much stronger, hence had more durability compared to him. Once the barrier settled down, he exclaimed. Azazel. Kid. Snap out of it, this is not you. Many were surprised to see the calm Governor-General yelling, as Issei unleashed a claw swipe. A blast was hit, and this time it was Surzich's. Surzich's? Lord Issei, we don't want to fight you. Surzich's was joined by everyone else. Claire and Asia were silent, as the corruption started to eat his head. He held his head in pain, as many tried to rush and help him. However, with the corruption spreading around, which included every area around himself, in the air, so air area assault was not an option. They are in your way. Crush them. Destroy them. Show them you are the dragon of domination. Wipe them all out. Issei. Knew. Issei held his head in pain, as the others helpless watch. They couldn't move because of the corruption, as if they get hit, they will become like him. Azazel retreated back with Volley, while Michiel managed to get Bhikkhu, with the latter being unconscious. Claire. Can't we do anything? Peregrine. I am afraid not, the corruption is eroding his brain. If we get closer, we will become like him. Riser. Darn it. Riser exclaimed angrily, however Issei stopped screaming. He then scanned the area for his targets, as he looked towards his sister. Asia. Issei. Lord X saw that Issei was targeting his sister, as Lord X thought for a moment before realizing. Lord X. Oh no. Blue Dragon, watch out. Lord X yelled, however before Masami could react, Issei grabbed her, in speeds faster than what they expected to be. Masami was in her armor, as she tried to freeze Issei. The barrier shattered as soon as Issei entered, shocking many, especially Surzich's, as Masami tried her best to reason with her brother. Masami. Nai-chan, snap out of it, you are hurting me. Issei kept crushing her with his claws, making her scream. She tried freezing the claws to stop it, however the corruption corrupted her ice, turning it from blue to dark crimson. Masami used the breach ability to damage Issei internally, making him scream. In response, Issei threw her to the ground, with the voices commanding him to kill her. Issei grabbed her by the throat, as he shouted with a distorted voice. Your soul is mine. Masami could sense the rage in his voice, despite not understanding what he said. Her determination was starting to leave, and she could see the hatred inside of him. Zero was terrified of what would happen to her host, and prayed to the dead god. It did not help that Issei was corrupted, and his negative emotion was the only thing driving him at this point. The previous hosts inside her sacred gear were demanding her to enter into her juggernaut drive, but she did not want to risk it. Issei then clawed her armor, making her scream in pain. He then kept slamming her to the ground, making her armor break, revealing her body. He slammed her once more, making her bleed, and some of her clothes were torn. She groaned in pain due to the claw mark on her chest, as well as bruises on her face. Seeing this, Zero yelled. Zero. Masami. Drake, stop your host. Drake did not respond, as the corruption had sealed away any connection. The one in front of Zero was not Drake, but a mindless dragon. Issei unleashed a blast of chaotic demonic energy to exterminate his sister out of existence. Claire immediately rushed out, ignoring Surzich's warning as Masami spoke with her head down. Masami. If that is what you want, then go ahead. Issei's eye twitched. Herobrine and Majin observed this and knew there was hope, however this did not stop the blast. Masami closed her eyes, accepting her fate, as Zero watched in horror. However, when the blast connected, there was no trace left. It was then revealed that Claire had used her wings to carry the injured Masami and bring her to safety. Masami. Claire. Wani-chan. Claire. All this is because of you, Masami. Had you at the very least stood up or even helped your brother, none of this would have happened. I only saved you because I partially care for you. I have no words. You never helped or supported your brother, and because of this, he is gone. Claire yelled, tears falling from her eyes, as Majin spoke. Majin. There is still hope. The group looked towards Majin as Lord X asked. Lord X. What are you talking about? Herobrine. He can still hear us, loud and clear. He stopped for a moment. There might be a way to save him. Surzich's. So you are telling that? Majin. Indeed, Lord Lucifer, he can hear us. That means Issei is fighting, but the corruption is strong, triggering his negative memories. That means we have to make him remember the good memories. It's the only way to bring him back. Claire. But how can we do that? We can't even get closer without getting maimed. I believe I can help with that. The voice startled many. The demons recognized as someone very strong. He was described to have wide empty sphere as his face and had no facial expression. He also wore a black business suit with a tie and black pants. He wore black shoes. Majin. Slenderman. The group was surprised, especially the faction leaders. He was considered to be one of the strongest demons of all time. Some were unnerved looking at the lack of his facial expression, as Herobrine spoke. Herobrine. He may be scary looking, but don't let that fool you. He is nice to a lot of people that know him, including several children. Slenderman. Greetings, everyone. I can hold him in while you try to bring him back to his senses. The others did not understand what he meant, as Lord X told. Lord X. He is one of the demons that is in the top 10 strongest supernatural beings on this planet. He could easily go toe-to-toe with Surzich's if he wanted to. Surzich's. It's true, Slenderman is indeed strong. There are only 2 more demons that come in the top 10 strongest, aside from Zalgo himself. The group were surprised as Slenderman spoke. Slenderman. Oh, you flatter me, but either way, we have got bigger problems. Now then, I need some opening to bind him. Lord Lucifer, can you help us? Michael, Azazel, you also please help us. The 3 faction leaders nodded as they all started to aim their attacks at Issei, with Surzich's using multiple POD attacks towards Issei. Given his mastery of the Baal's power, he was able to reach the status of Super Devil. Surzich's. Ruin of Extinction. Surzich's did not know if this would help, but it was worth a shot. This weakened his armor, making him scream in pain. Surzich's. Sorry about this. But it is the only way. The dragon roared despite the pain. Surzich's was surprised this attack could easily take out ultimate class devils with ease, but Issei was no demon, he was much stronger. Surzich's. Michael, Azazel, Gabriel. The three leaders unleashed their light attacks as Masami assisted them speaking. Masami, do it Zero. Her sacred gear responded. Breach. Breach. Zero activated her sacred gear as she spoke. Masami, I don't care if Nai-chan despises me, I will not give up on him and I will never abandon him ever again. I may not have been there for him when he needed me, but please bring him back. Many were surprised as to what Masami said, as Claire gave a small smile, as Claire knew that one day perhaps, Issei would accept his former sister. The light attacks managed to hit Issei, who struggled against them. He responded with unleashing a corrupted blast at them, as another voice spoke. Divide. 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 The blast was divided enough times for it to be weak enough for Surziches to dispel it as the spears hit him. Many were surprised as Azazel spoke. Azazel. Volley. Volley. I made this problem, so it is fair that I fix the issue as well. Seeing this, Lord X and Majin unleashed their own magic attacks, which were red rings that floated around, unleashing a miasma of demonic energy towards him. Issei roared in pain as he unleashed a blazing flame barrage towards his attackers, making many struggle under the strength of his fire attacks. Kiba. This heat is too intense. Zenobia. How strong is he? MX. You best know that this is only when he is berserk, we need to find a way to stop the heat source. Grafia, Surziches, Michael, Gabriel and Azazel were struggling under the barrage of flames. As Issei stopped, he then looked up and unleashed a demonic magic blast up in the air. As he did, he unleashed a rainfall of demonic energy, making many struggle the blasts. Some of them hit Kiba and Zenobia as they grunted in pain. Asia. You two okay? Kiba and Zenobia nodded as Claire managed to blast any demonic energy blasts that were aimed towards her. Seeing Claire struggle, Issei's eye twitched once again. He couldn't see her struggle and stop the blast. He then used telekinesis to grab Surziches in the air, who managed to counter with his own magical energy. Grunting, he unleashed another firestorm towards them, who once again had to generate a barrier. However, this time Claire and the other demons also joined him. Lord X. Slendy, it's now or never. Slenderman. Give me a minute. Slenderman waited for Issei to stop to recover as he then spoke. Slenderman. Now. Slenderman used his tentacles to bind the dragon, 2 on his legs, 2 on his hands, 3 on his torso, and 1 on his mouth, making him unable to move. Issei's attack stopped. Angrily he started to resist as Slenderman spoke while struggling. Slenderman. He shouldn't be this strong. Michael and Gabriel used their light magic to help the demon, as even Grafia used her ice magic. She then spoke. Grafia. Please stop this, I beg you. Issei's eye twitched as Surziches spoke. Surziches. Everyone, it's working. Claire, Asia, Riser and everyone else, keep it up, he can hear us. Herobrine is right. Asia was the first to step forward. She had no fear on her face as she spoke. Asia. Issei, if you can hear me out, I don't fear you. I don't fear the man that gave me a second chance at living. I want the man that gave me a second chance at living back. You may have had a bad life due to some terrible people, but that shall never again, I promise you, cause I love you. Asia confessed to everyone as Issei started grabbing his head. He was fighting back, seeing hope. Claire was the next to speak up. Claire. Asia is right, we care for you, we will never hurt you ever again, we care for you Issei, we always will, there is no changing that, and we will never give up on you. No matter what happens. Riser. Claire is correct, Riser wants his best friend back, we all want our Issei back, the man who showed me how to live my life. You made sure that you maintained your sanity despite everything you have been through. Come back for the people that care and love you. Claire and Riser approached, not caring for the corruption miasma in front of them. Issei stopped struggling as he started to calm down. Claire then spoke. Claire. Don't listen to those voices, they are only destroying you from the inside. Know this, I will stay by your side until the very end. No matter what. Issei eventually stopped struggling as Surziches spoke. Surziches. It's working, guys, bring it in. Gabriel. Just a little bit more, bring him back, he should not suffer anymore. Sona was the next to approach as she spoke. Sona. Issei, I may not be your childhood friend like Riser or Claire are, I may not be someone you are close to like Asia is, I may not even be someone you care or even bother, but I see you as my friend, and I don't want you to lose yourself to the past. The demons were the next to approach as MX spoke. MX. When I first met you, I hardly knew that you were Zalgo, but even then I saw something special in you, then I came to know along with X that you were Zalgo. I don't want you to lose yourself to past, just like Sona desires. Lord X. MX is right, you should bury the past, don't let it slow you down. Herobrine. When I heard your commands, I saw you hurting, you hated being away from your friends, you drowned yourself and worked to hide the pain you have been suffering. Don't do that, come back, if not for us, at least for them, they care for you, they always did. Hypno was the next to speak. Hypno. When I hypnotized you, I had another intention. My psychic power lets me see what someone's past is like. When I saw yours, it terrified me, but then you showed me that despite your trauma, you were a fighter, you fought back, fight this corruption back. Imagine. I may not know you much, but if X is right, you should have some fun from time to time, like me, it's not fine to suffer. Slenderman stayed quiet, he was loyal to Zalgo, but he wanted to see who he really is, how did he get his hands on a sacred gear, and he wanted to talk to this Issei. Issei's armor started to break down, he was reverting back to his normal form. Masami wanted to speak, but a glare from Majin stopped her as he spoke. Majin. Your speaking might doom us all, so stay put, you have hurt him enough, you will not hurt him anymore. Masami kept quiet as she looked away. Irina did not say anything out of fear and guilt. As Issei's armor reverted, he returned back to his original appearance, his appearance before he disappeared 2 days ago. He was back. Issei. Guys, where am I? Claire and Asia. Issei. The girls rushed towards him, the corruption was completely gone, as the girls hugged him, tears streaming from their eyes, as Issei spoke. Issei. Sorry for leaving you like that. Claire. It's alright, we know. Claire spoke with a teary-eyed face, and she had a smile as she spoke. Claire. We don't hold anything against you, just promise us to never leave us again. Issei brought Claire closer as he spoke. Issei. I promise, I will not leave you again. Asia. You promise? Issei rubbed her head and spoke. Issei. I promise. Asia also lied on Issei as the others approached him. Riser then speaks. Riser. It is good to have you back, buddy. Issei. Yeah, sorry for the carnage and the troubles I put you guys through. Riser. No worries, although technically you did not kill anyone, almost at least. Issei. Yeah. The leaders approached him as Issei spoke. Issei. I know, Sai, I need to apologize to you leaders as well, especially you Gabriel, Surziches, I didn't mean to hurt any of you, and I still want to make peace, and for that I apologize. Gabriel had a slight blush as she spoke. Gabriel. No, it's equally our fault as well, we should have at least helped you, you were a ticking time bomb, and we should have diffused the situation, instead of letting it be. Surziches. And for what my sister did, I would also like to apologize as well. Issei narrowed his eyes and spoke. Issei. Don't blame yourself for her actions, she is responsible enough to take care of it, she even left one of her pieces, Gasper, back at the building. Surziches looked at Gasper as he asked. Surziches. Is it true? Gasper nods meekly, as Surziches was angry at this. Issei then spoke. Issei. I have a request. I know I am not in a position, but can you listen? Surziches. Go ahead. Issei. Can Gasper stay with me? I can remove his evil piece that Riaz has placed in him and make him into a demon, only if you agree with me. Surziches smiled as he responded. Surziches. As sad it is for me to lose the forbidden Baylor view user, if Gasper wants, I wouldn't mind. Surziches and Issei looked at Gasper as he spoke in a shy tone. Gasper. I don't mind. Surziches. Very well, Issei, take good care of him. Issei. You can count on it. That is when Slenderman approached him as he spoke. Issei. I never got to know who you are given that I was blinded by corruption and my hate, but you have my thanks for stopping me, I remember you are Slenderman, aren't you, one of my strongest generals? Slenderman. Indeed, it is finally a pleasure to meet you. Although I expected our meeting to be much civilized, I wasn't expecting to meet you in your berserker state. Issei. I know. Sorry for that. Slenderman. It's fine, my lord, either way, how did you get access with the boosted gear? Issei. I was reincarnated as a human. It's a long story. Slenderman. Well, do tell me, once you come to visit me. Issei. I will. Slenderman then waved goodbye to the rest of the group as the other demons and leaders teleported back. Before that, Surziches tells that he will send the documents to him once they are prepared. After that he leaves, leaving Masami, Sona, Riser, Issei, Asia, Zenobia, Gasper and Kiba present. Bali and Biku were taken by Azazel so that he could deal with them himself. He was planning to imprison him until he decided on their punishments. Sona. So what now? Issei. Well, I already have found an apartment, so I will be staying there for a while, after which, we will see what happens. Masami left the area as she decided to talk to her brother another time, since she knew that now is not the right time, she was still determined to bring him back, she only hoped that fate would side with her. Back with Issei, he decided to head home as the others headed to their apartments. Riser had rented one a while back, as with Claire and Asia, they headed back to his apartment. While Zenobia tagged along with Issei, Kiba went to his apartment to rest for the night. Issei's apartment, 6:30 a.m. Issei was sleeping in his new apartment he had purchased a day ago. The furniture had still to be placed in the house, although he was going to change into a mansion, since he needed to accommodate more guests in his new house. He looked to his side to see Claire sleeping while grabbing his one hand, while Asia grabs the other hand. He knew that these two did not leave his side, and won't leave his side, after what he had done. He felt partially guilty for hurting them, as he mouthed the words. Issei. I'm sorry. Greg spoke from the boosted gear. Greg. Partner, don't blame yourself, you were not in the right mental state. Issei. But still. Zalgo. Issei, you were afraid, because of what those disgusting humans did to you, you were afraid that you might hurt them. It's alright, they forgave you, they are happy that you are back, that's all they want, they care for you, more than anything else. Issei. Well, the peace treaty went well. So what is next? Zalgo. They told about some terrorist group known as Chaos Brigade, right? You need to stay alert. Greg. Indeed, for now Albion's host has been captured, and knowing Azazel, he will find a way to get the truth out. Issei. I see. The boosted gear then dissipated as Issei spoke. Issei. Claire. Asia. It is time to get up. The girls start to wake up as Claire groggily speaks. Claire. Morning, Issei. Issei. Morning to you too as well, Claire. We need to get up for school. Claire. That's true. Claire got up as Asia soon followed as she then spoke. Asia. Is it morning? Asia rubbed her eyes as she was partially awake. Issei then rubbed her head, making the demon smile. Issei. Yeah, it is. Claire pouted seeing this as they then got up and started to get dressed for school. As much as Issei did not want to school, he had no choice in the matter. He needed to finish off his education, or that's what Zalgo had told him to do so. Plus, he needed to explain himself to Mitsuda and Motohama about his absence. Issei and the girls were having breakfast which he had cooked as Purin was eating his own poke food which Hypno had given to Asia so that he could eat something. Issei. I really don't want to go to school. Issei spoke in a sad tone as Claire kept her hand on him and spoke. Claire. Well, you need to go to school, as much as you hate it, only 2 years remain, that's it, and highly doubt anyone would try any stunt. Asia. It's true, Issei, those kendo girls are gone for a few months, not to mention they won't try anything, especially after you put them on the ground for years of torment. Claire. Not to mention, the leaders have been expelled and blacklisted from Kuo, they can't enter any schools present in Kuo, so the only way for them to enter is by heading to an entirely different town. They will never harass you ever again. Issei looks for a moment, all the suffering he had endured had finally came to an end. He no longer had parents that tormented him, his sister who had let this harassment happen, the kendo duo, they are all gone from his life. The only ones he had were the people that truly cared for him, his subordinates and his friends. Even Riaz and her peerage are gone, imprisoned in the deepest depths of hell, where they belong. There was no one left that could threaten his life and family, at least not yet. Even then he was still prepared. He will keep training to do so, if it means to protect his family and kingdom. Issei. I dunno, Claire, it almost feels like a dream, like is it a very good dream, and the next thing I know, I will wake up and it will feel like it is. Issei looked down as Claire pulled his head towards her face and spoke. Claire. Listen, this is no dream, this is reality, it's all over, you no longer have to suffer any longer, not by them, not anyone, today is the day, you start a new life. Issei. You have no one to fear, no one that will harass or attack you, you are finally free. Issei looks at her and she smiles in response. Claire. It is all over, you can finally relax. Issei gives a sad smile in response and speaks in a happy tone. Issei. Yeah. It is. Scene change. Outside Kuo Academy, 9:30 a.m. Issei and the girls head to school, where they then discuss. Issei. Since the orc room has now been abandoned, what should we do? Claire. Well. You could use it as your own base now, invite the rest of the group. Issei. That is true, but I would need to talk to Sona about this. Besides, I do need to thank her for what she had done in proving my innocence. Issei had heard from Claire about what she had done, from gathering every single evidence that the Kendo Club had been doing to him all those years ago. It took her a few weeks, but she managed to get it. For that he needed to thank her for that. Asia. That's true. Besides, when do you plan on meeting Slenderman? Issei. Perhaps in a day or two, I need to settle in my new life, so until then, he needs to wait, which I don't think he minds waiting. He does have a lot of company in the town he lives in. Asia. I see. Say, how did you learn to cook so well? Issei. Well, you see, sometime after my abuse began, my parents sometimes stopped cooking for me. As a result, I had to grow up very quickly, which meant that I had to cook my own food. I won't deny that I had to steal money as well as food from my parents in order to survive. Apparently they used to starve me in order to punish me for those false accusations. Asia and Claire were saddened. Claire was angry at what his parents did to him. She never knew they had fallen this low, as they were glad that he was disowned. Issei was more than happy that he was away from his parents, as even they knew Issei will not hesitate to return the favor if they ever tried, as Issei, looking at the girl's sad face, spoke. Issei. But hey, look on the bright side, I managed to become such an amazing cook. Claire. That is true, your cooking could be on par with mine very own, even Ravel's cooking is pretty good, she always wanted to make others have her own baked cakes. Issei. Wait. For real? Claire. Yep, I was the one who thought her, she took a liking to baking cakes and making tea. Issei. Oh. In that case I will try it. Claire. True, she will love it. Both chuckled as Asia pouted. She did not know how to cook, she had not learned it during her time as a holy maiden. Seeing this, Issei spoke. Issei. Don't worry, Asia, I will teach you how to cook. You will become a good chef in no time. Asia? You mean it? Asia exclaimed in hope as Claire spoke in a happy tone. Claire. Even I will help, don't worry, you will be on par with Ravel in no time. Asia smiled at this as she then beamed. Asia? Really? Both nod in affirmation as Asia smiled and hummed in agreement. As she smiled at the duo, she knew that she had a family. Scene change. Guo Academy, 10:30 a.m. Issei had made his appearance into the school. He was greeted by his two friends Mitsuda and Motohama, who initially punched him in the stomach. He could have defended himself, but didn't, after which the two cried into him. Claire and Asia did not choose to intervene. As they smiled seeing this, Issei hugged the two of them as they shared a moment. As he had explained, he needed some time free from what had happened. The boys understood, they did not blame him, they had even reduced their peaking amount ever since Issei disappeared. His parents had abandoned him, that was his breaking point, he had enough, they had an idea that he had snapped, hence why his former mother and sister were so secretive after his disappearance, and why his former father was absent. Issei did something or must have done something to him. He had a reason, but chose not to ask him, he was back, and that was mattered to them. He was joined by Kiba and Zenobia. As they approached them, happy to see Issei back to normal, they headed to their class, as many were surprised to see him again, most were guilty to see him, given how they treated him due to lies. Issei, however, ignored them, he had better things to do, he wondered what club he should start. The apologies were getting even more annoying, as he continued to ignore them. That was till the teacher had come and had asked everyone to head to their seats. Teacher. Now then, there will be 2 students that will be joining you in this year, they are transfer students, with both being from foreign countries, come and introduce yourselves. The 2 came in, which surprised the students, especially Issei and his friends, they recognized one of them with relative ease, they were none other than Zenobia Quarta and Riser Phoenix. Zenobia. Hello everyone. My name is Zenobia Quarta. I am from England. It is nice to meet all of you. Riser. And my name is Riser Phoenix. If you are wondering why I and Claire have the same surname, I am Claire's younger brother, it is nice to meet all of you. Riser had internally sighed, it was hard for him to not speak in third person, both had greeted the students, as the boys cheered for the new girl that had joined, while girls had cheered for a new boy that was extremely good looking. Teacher. Now you can ask any questions you want. Student number 1. So why did you 2 decide to come here to Kuo? This is to both of you. Riser. For me, wasn't it obvious, my sister comes here, so why can't I? The student nodded as Zenobia spoke. Zenobia. Me, my guardian wanted my education to take place at Kuo, hence why I am studying here. The student understood as they continued asking questions to the 2, Riser and Zenobia tried to answer as much as they could. Claire pitied her brother being overwhelmed, he managed to learn how to speak in the same language as a regular human does, it was hard for him, however it was not easy, Claire helped him as much as she could, eventually he manages to learn it, eventually. Teacher. You 2 may sit next to wherever you prefer. The 2 wanted to sit next to Issei and his friends, however the seats around them were full, dejected they sat away as the teacher continued to teach. Scene change. Issei. I am glad you could accept this meeting, Sona. Sona nodded as she spoke. Sona. No, that's not a worry, I wondered what you wanted to talk to me about. Issei merely glanced at the other members of the student council, many shivered in fear in his presence, especially the ones that used to punish him without consulting Sona or Tsubaki. They knew that Issei was the demon king courtesy of Sona, who had warned them that if they tried anything funny, Issei will not hesitate to put them 6 feet under. This caused many to fear him, minus Aji, who now started to look up to Issei. as in his eyes, despite everything, he has not given up, and now he is one of the most strongest dragons out there. Issei was alongside Claire, Riser and Asia, while Zenobia was having a chat with Mitsuda and Motohama as they wanted to know more about England, but mostly about how the women are like there and what they like. Issei, indeed, first and foremost I would like to thank you for gathering those evidence and helping me against those girls. That's the first thing I would like to say, and for that thank you Sona Citri. Sona nodded and had a light blush, something which Claire and Asia noticed and glared at Sona. However, Riser had a smile. It seems like he has also gone down the harem route. He couldn't be any more proud of his friend. Sona. And no problem, I am sorry I couldn't act on it earlier. Issei. Don't blame yourself, you stood up and dealt with the kendo girls, and for that I am glad you did so. Speaking of which, how long will they be in the hospital? Sona. I estimate at least 4 months unless some supernatural force intervenes. Even after that they still have community service since police has been involved. As for the leaders, they have been expelled and blacklisted across all schools in Kuo. I was the acting principal after all, and the board has chosen a new principal. She will be here tomorrow. As for those 2 girls, I even heard that their parents have disowned them. They are still rumors though, so I am not sure. Issei nods, he hardly felt any sympathy for them. Hell, he was happy, now it was their turn to suffer, as Issei then speaks. Issei. I was wondering, since the orc building is now evacuated now that Rias and her cronies are gone, so I was wondering whether we can use that for our own club. Sona thinks for a moment and responds. Sona. Very well, but you do know the rules, right? Issei. Yep, we want to make a cooking club, if that is fine with you. Sona narrows her eyes and responds. Sona. I am afraid not, the club is already taken by someone else. Had you came in a day earlier, it would have been yours. Issei nodded, although he was saddened that he could not take the club. He then spoke. Issei. How about the gaming and music club then? The trio were surprised by this, even the student council was surprised as well, as Claire spoke. Claire. Ice, can you even sing? Riser. Claire is right, even Riser thinks that having a music club is pretty off-putting. Riser is fine with the gaming club though. Sona. 2 clubs at once. This might be a bit difficult. Sona thought on the request, as Issei then convinced her. Issei. Well, the orc building is quite big, there are several rooms present. We can easily make one or a few rooms into parts for the music room, while the others can be used to install devices like televisions, sound systems and other gaming equipment. Sona thought about it for a moment and spoke. Sona. Very well, we can fund the amount necessary for your new club or clubs in your case. But on one small condition. Issei looked at her for a moment and spoke. Issei. Go ahead. Sona. The Governor General of Grigori, Azazel, or should I say our chemistry teacher, will be your advisor. Issei looked at Sona with wide eyes as he then spoke. Issei. Why? Azazel. It is because if there is anyone that is knowledgeable about gaming and music, then it is me. The group turned to Azazel, who had teleported. He no longer wore his old clothing, instead now wore a blue formal coat and formal pants. He was now the chemistry teacher of Kuo Academy, as Azazel spoke. Azazel. Issei, since we are no longer enemies, I would like to be an advisor for your club. Surziches thought it was a good idea, since it would mean the 2 leaders are in the same academy, at the same place. After all, this place is a hotspot for a lot of supernatural activity. Issei looked at him for a moment and sighed. He knew that all clubs had advisors as teachers present. He then spoke. Issei. Fine, I will have some trust in you. Azazel. That's more than enough. Issei then turned to Sona and spoke. Issei. Is there anything else? Sona. Yes, it's a request. I would like to play a game of chess with you, casually, if that is alright with you. Claire got a tick mark on hearing this, as Riser flinched seeing her sister get angry at this. Asia wondered what she meant, as Issei shrugged and spoke. Issei. Sure, why not? Issei and Sona started to play chess, as Issei chose black, since he wanted to see Sona's move set, as he was surprised that she was quite intelligent. Gaining his interest, she played several moves, as Issei constantly did not let it up. During his time as Zalgo, he had learned a lot of moves from many of his generals, especially smart ones like Herobrine and Slenderman. Sona lost her queen, while being caught off guard by a feint move, Issei sacrificing his pawn in exchange for his queen. He was studying her every move. He noticed that she prioritized using every piece to its full potential, giving Issei a way to counter her effectively. Issei then used the 3 last edges to trigger a checkmate, making Asia happy. However, the student council, Claire and Riser, were shocked by this. Azazel wondered what had just happened. Claire. Oh no. Riser. This is bad. Sister. Riser looked worriedly towards his sister, who had a shocked look on her face, as Issei spoke. Issei. Seems like I won. Sona was also completely shocked by this. It meant that Issei was not her fiancé. The Demon King being her fiancé was not something she expected. This horrified Saji, as he now knew that he could never have the chance to ask Sona out. Issei. Good game. Issei gave her a handshake as Sona snaps out of her shock and responds. Sona. Why yeah, good game, indeed. Sona's response trailed off as Issei had gotten up and spoke. Issei. Well, it was nice playing with you. We should do this again next time. Sona. Right. Issei left the room as Saji exclaimed. Saji. Please, President, don't tell me this is true. Sona. I am afraid it is Saji. I am now betrothed to the Demon King Issei. Asia and Azazel were confused as Asia asks. Asia. I don't understand, how is she betrothed to Issei? Riser. It is simple, you see, unlike Ria's, Sona managed to defeat her fiancé in a chess game, hence it was stated that the one who defeats her in a chess game will be her fiancé, and since Issei beat her, that means. Claire. Issei is now her fiancé. Claire was not expecting this in her life. She did not expect Sona of all people to be bounded to Issei for all eternity. Not that she was completely against it, she knew Sona was a good person, and her friendship towards her eyes was something she did not mind, but she was worried for Sona. She did not like being married against her will. For someone who had to go through the process of being forcefully coerced into marriage, she pitied her. Asia and Azazel were surprised by this. Asia now was worried for Sona as she spoke. Asia. No. Azazel. May I speak something? The group looked at Azazel as he spoke. Azazel. I would suggest you to tell him about this. I doubt he would forcefully want to marry you against your will. Issei is not the type of guy to do such a thing like this. Talk to him and then let him make the decision of continuing this engagement or not. Don't get the wrong idea, but he loves those two so far. After all, you two did save him from being influenced by his negative past after all. Claire and Asia had a heavy blush on hearing this as Claire then speaks. Claire. I will tell him about the news. Is that fine with you? Sona nods as the trio leave the room while Sona is left conflicted on what exactly she should do right now. Scene change. Time skip brought to you by Chibi. Sona supervising Chibi Issei while he is doing some office work. Near the GMC grounds, 6:30 p.m. Sona declared the Orc building to be repurposed into the gaming and music clubroom, GMC for short, as Issei knew that a lot of stuff needs to be placed into the building. He decided to do it on a later day. Right now Claire and Issei were supervising Gasper's training. Issei. Come on Gasper, you can do it. Issei cheered the little damper as he trained Gasper in accepting the outside world. He created a reality bubble where many people are looking towards him. He was nervous, he had his eyes open, but he eventually closed it as he spoke. Gasper. It is too much. Big brother Issei, please remove this. Issei and Claire looked at each other as Issei sighed. He had turned Zenobia, Kiba and Gasper into demons like him as he crushed Gasper's bishop piece and threw it away earlier, similar to how he did for Asia. Issei deactivated the barrier as the damper ran in a nearby box and hid as he spoke. Gasper. People are scary. Issei. But Gasper, you did well, you managed to increase your time of staying outside. Claire, can you tell the time? Claire. 1 second. Claire took one look at the stopwatch as she spoke. Claire. 15 minutes. He surpassed his previous record. Issei. That's great, your previous record was 12 minutes. Keep on doing it and you will get over your fear of the outside world in no time. Issei analyzed Gasper. He knew that the boy's potential in his sacred gear is pretty strong, however he needed something else, his fear of the outside world, that is something that needed to be done quickly or as soon as possible. Gasper beamed at this as he spoke from his box. Gasper. You mean it? Issei. Yeah, just follow what I ask you to and you should be fine, now take a break. Gasper. Right. Issei and Claire headed to a place where they could sit as Issei asked while looking at her. Issei. So Claire, you wanted to speak to me about something, I was busy training him. Claire. Yeah. It's about the chess game. Issei. Okay. Claire then told him about everything that had happened due to the chess match, him getting engaged to Sona as a result of his victory. Needless to say, Issei was surprised on what he had heard. He then spoke. Issei. So because of my victory, she is now bounded to me. If that was the case, I would have lost. Intentionally. Claire was surprised as she asked. Claire. Why? Issei. Well, as you told me, she was not too keen on being engaged to me, and I don't want to impose on anyone. If she wants us to stay friends, then I don't mind, I am fine by that, so I will talk to her tomorrow. Claire nods. She was happy that Issei considered her feelings, as she then looked at Issei, who was slightly saddened as he spoke. Issei. Hey Claire, can I request you something? Claire. Tell me, is something wrong? Issei. Why? Nothing much, I wanted to, is it alright if I… well, go out with you? Issei asked while having a heavy blush on his face. Claire was surprised. Claire? Huh? Claire then realized what Issei meant, as even she started to blush immensely. She knew what Issei had implied. As she stayed quiet, looking down, she then asked. Claire? But why me? I mean, why? Issei. You were the one that stood by my side when no one else did. You, Asia, and a few others were the only ones that were on my side, that believed in me, that stood up for me when no one else did. That is why I want you to be by my side for all eternity. Claire blushed as she looked down, her eyes watering up. Issei then spoke. Issei. If you don't want, then I am alright, we can do this some other time if it is alright. I am fine by that. Claire. I accept. Issei. Huh? Claire confessed with a smile, as tears fell through her eyes. She then spoke. Claire. I always wanted to say this, but I love you, Issei. I love you more than anyone else. You are the one that I want to be by my side for all eternity. We will go this Saturday, so what do you think? Issei blushed at this, as he spoke. Issei. Saturday is fine, with me. Claire beamed at this, as she approached Issei, and have a kiss towards Issei on his lips, as she spoke. Claire. I will make this date the best, I promise. Issei nods, he then spoke. Issei. I will be waiting. The next day, 6:30 a.m. Issei had reached the GMC building where he had used some gaming arcade cabinets from the early generations to the latest and current generations, although he did not include those that were slot machines, as well as pachinko machines related to gambling were not allowed, since those were illegal. Furthermore, he had asked the help of demons that were physically strong like MX to help him lift the machines, with him being happy to do so. MX. Alright, that's the last one. Lord X. Yep, I never expected my lord to make a gaming and music club. I wonder what else he is gonna add. MX. He was considering adding consoles, as well as the infamous polybias machine that was a product of a fool, using unstable demonic magic infused metal to create the machine. Lord X. He needs to reduce the hallucination triggering and other dangerous side effects off that machine, else the students might be in danger. MX nods, however Issei was already on his way to make sure the hallucinations and the other side effects don't happen. He then approached them and spoke. Issei. Thanks guys for doing this on such a short notice. MX. Not a problem, there was nothing much to do anyways. Lord X. Either way, when will the rest come? I mean the consoles. Issei. Azazel will be bringing most of them by today itself. Aside from that, I need to do some settings. Thanks once again for the help. The duo nodded as they waved goodbye. Issei then heads to another room to set up the music equipment that he would be needing for the music club, which was done in an hour or two, so he had to be heading out to optimize the machines and get them to work. Issei. This building has so much hidden rooms. What the hell did Riaz even did when she was here? Like she could have used this building to its full potential, but let's get the machines working, especially the polybias one. Issei managed to set up most of the club equipment he needed. He was almost done. Now all he had to do was apply some power. Lucky for him, he only needed to connect some wires. Issei. I wonder where are the others? Claire. Right here. Claire spoke as she approached him. She was joined by Asia and Riser, as they all were surprised to see the amount of progress Issei had done in such a short amount of time, as Claire spoke. Claire. Did you do all this? This is amazing. Claire was awed by what she saw, as Issei spoke. Issei. Indeed, however I did not do this alone. I had MX and Lord X help. Had they not helped me, it would have taken much longer, so they should also be thanked. Claire on hearing this spoke in an annoyed tone. Claire. You know you could have asked us for help, we would have been happy to help. Issei. Yeah, but I did not want to disturb any of you, and the other thing is that those two were free, so that is why I chose them. Claire. Okay. Asia. Issei, can we try the games? Riser. Indeed, Riser wants to play these arcades. Riser never got the chance to do so. Issei. Oh sure, you can. Both Asia and Riser went on to play the games. As they headed to play some games, Claire then spoke. Claire. So does Issei. Yeah, Asia knows. She was a bit saddened, but I promised her to take her out sometime in the future, when I am free. I hope you don't mind. Claire. Yeah, she loves you as well, just like I do. Speaking of which, what would you do if your parents show up? They will come and try to get back to your home. Claire was concerned. She hated his former parents for what they had done to them, but she was more worried about Issei, given that his experiences were still haunting him. She was concerned for him, as she loved him more than anyone else. Issei. I will be honest, I really don't want to go back. I always wanted to prove to my parents that I was a good child, that I wanted to do something for them. I always wanted to make me happy. A certain lady once told me if I was not being appreciated in the current situation I was in, she told me that to walk away from it, and initially I did not want to walk away. I was only 12 at that time. I still cared for my parents back then, but now, I could care less if they are not here anymore. When I saw my mother say she regret giving birth to me, that's when I knew it was time to walk away from that house for good. The good thing is, I don't regret walking away from her. Issei spoke as Claire looked away, as she spoke in an apologetic tone. Claire. I am sorry. Issei. Huh? Claire spoke with tears in her eyes. Claire. I am sorry, I never came for you earlier. Had I come, none of this would have happened. You would still have your parents, your sister with you, those girls they would never. Issei immediately hugged her as she was cut off from her words, as Issei rubbed her head and spoke. Issei. Claire. Don't blame yourself, you are there for me now, that's all I need in my life, you standing by my side, you were among the few that was there, where no one else was, and for that, I will always be grateful toward you. Claire had cried onto Issei, as Issei embraced her, while he rubbed her head, he calmed her down, while speaking, it will be alright. They then split up, as Claire rubs the tears as Issei and Claire split up. However, someone shouts, as Issei and Claire look at the source, it came from the arcade room. Asia. Risser. Both were shocked and horrified as they rushed to the location, only to see Riser grabbing his head, making him plead. Riser. Make it stop. Claire rushed to her brother, while exclaiming his name in worry. Issei also did so. He then looked around to see the machine of polybias was on. He was horrified. He knew that the machine is known to cause a variety of symptoms. Issei immediately pulled the plug as Riser stopped begging. His vision returned to normal as he saw everyone worried for him as Riser spoke. Riser. It's finally over. Those visions, they were driving me crazy. Claire. Riser, what did you see? Riser. Hallucinations of being in a war, in a space war. I saw my army die. Right in front of me. It was scary. Riser exclaimed as Claire hugged him. She calmed him down as Issei then spoke. Issei. There was a reason, there was out of service board here. The game you played was polybias. Claire. Polybias. I have heard that name somewhere. Issei. Correct, it was an actual arcade game that caused hallucinations, night terrors, insomnia and other symptoms, to say the least. This was something the government did back in the 80s when arcade games were just being introduced. They wanted to test the psychological effects games had in people. There were people dressed in black, acting as technicians to constantly collect data from this machine. It went out of service for a month, until. Asia. You found one? Issei. Correct. Issei then turned to Riser and spoke. Issei. Riser, I was the reason that. Riser. No. Riser cuts him off and speaks. Riser. I would like to apologize, I did not see the board, that was as a sort of warning, you warned me against playing it, I was the one that was reckless, and for that I am sorry. Riser bowed in apology, as Claire spoke in a slightly angered tone. Claire. Riser, I am glad you are taking up responsibility, but please, never do that again, you mean a lot to me. Riser. Riser knows Claire, Riser knows, and Riser apologizes to you for making Riser's big sister worry. Issei. Either way, I take responsibility and henceforth this machine will not be here until I can find a way to prevent the side effects of this machine. Riser nods, he felt guilty that his friend was affected by his recklessness. Issei teleported the machine back to his kingdom until he could find a way to fix what was in the machine. He and the others minus Riser who needed time to recover, managed to set up the remaining wires of the gaming room and set up the power to all of them. Scene change. Student Council 9 p.m. Issei and Claire headed to the student council. Upon seeing him, many of the council members became alert as they knew who they were talking to. Sona. Hello Ice, to what do I owe this visit? Issei. I want to talk about the chess match and its subsequent engagement, Sona Citri. Sona lost her smile and looked down, she was afraid of what might happen. Sona then spoke. Sona. So. You understood right? Issei nods as he speaks in a slightly serious tone. Issei. Why you did not inform me of this Sona, if that was the case, I would have never played chess with you. Sona widened her eyes as Issei spoke. Issei. Don't misunderstand me, all I am saying is that. You don't want this engagement, right? Let me talk to your parents and sister, I will tell them, I will convince them. They should not force their daughter for this engagement. Sona flinched, she never thought Issei would take it this far, she was grateful for having a friend like Issei, as she spoke. Sona. But my mother had called me, once she found out I was engaged, she seemed to do everything in her power to make the engagement in place. How will you convince her? Sona remembered her mother's call, she seemed happy for this engagement, Sona did not want her to be saddened upon this, Issei spoke. Issei. I am willing to talk to her right now. Listen Sona, there is no point in a loveless relationship. I have learned that the hard way given my past, so if you don't love me, then why do the marriage? Sona. I. Sona was completely speechless. Claire kept her hand on Sona and spoke. Claire. Issei is right, you don't love him, right? Then why do this marriage? Even I am willing to support you in this, Sona. You should marry the one you love, not the one whom you are forced to marry to. Sona. But. My mom. Issei. Then don't do it. This may spoil her mood or break her heart for now, but if we lie to her and pretend that we are in love, then things might end up getting worse. Trust me, when the truth comes out, it will be far worse than what happens now. Dial her Sona, we will talk to her and negotiate with her. Even the council was surprised by this attitude of Issei's. They were too blinded by lies. Saji smiled seeing Issei act like his true self. He always knew that Issei was not perverted. Hell, he never was perverted in his eyes, as he has seen perverts before. Case in point, Issei's true friends Mitsuda and Motohama. Issei. Sona. I know you want to keep your mother happy, but when you find someone that they love you and you genuinely love him or her, she would be even more happier. Believe me on this one. I will help you in whatever I can to break off this engagement if you don't want it to be. Sona's eyes were watery. Issei was like a true friend to her, even better than Ria's was. Sona then spoke. Sona. Can I request you something? Issei. Go ahead. Sona. Please, try to be nice to her. She seemed really happy when she heard I found someone I loved, and try to convince her and be cordial to her. Issei. Very well. As you wish. Sona nodded and dialed her mother's number. She then picked up and spoke. Lady Citri. Hello, yes Sona, why did you call? Sona. Well mother. Remember the man with whom I had lost against? Lady Citri. Oh him. Is he on the line? Sona. Yes mother, in fact he wants to speak to you. Lady Citri. Very well then, give him the phone. Sona agrees and gives the phone to Issei. Issei then speaks. Issei, good morning ma'am. I am Issei, the one who won the game against Sona. It is nice to meet you. Lady Citri was surprised to hear the person's name. She had heard from Serafal that he was the current leader of the demon faction, as she spoke with a gulp. Lady Citri. Hello Lord Issei, I hope you know of the circumstances. Issei. Indeed, I do Lady Citri, and I want to tell you a few things. I desire to cancel the engagement. Lady Citri's gasp was heard by Issei on the phone, as she spoke in a slightly louder yet apologetic tone. Lady Citri. Did my daughter do something to you, Lord Issei? Was she troublesome? Issei. 1. Just call me Issei. And 2. She did not do anything of some sort. In fact, because of what Rias did, your daughter is one of the few people that gave me a reason to not hate the entire devil race. She is a good friend. Sona had a subtle yet small blush when Issei spoke this, as Lady Citri continued. Lady Citri. I see, that is a good thing, but then why do you not desire this engagement, Issei? Issei. Simple Lady Citri, I and Sona may be friends, but there is no love between us. In my opinion, for any marriage or any loving relationship, love must be present, otherwise this engagement is pointless. Neither can be happy in this, and if that cannot happen, then there is no point in doing this engagement. This is true in any relationship, I speak this from personal experience. Sona, Claire and Lady Citri were surprised by John's words. As Sona smiled on hearing this, she was happy to have a good and understanding person as a friend. Claire was sad remembering Issei's past. She constantly received calls from his former parents and sister to let them talk to him. She refused every single call, knowing that they have long lost the right to call him their son, and threatened to get Issei involved if they kept pestering her. Lady Citri. Alright then. I am glad you seem to understand Sona very well. Issei. So will you not consider the engagement? Lady Citri. No. I was going to keep the engagement. Issei. But. Issei wanted to protect, but Lady Citri decided to convince him otherwise. Lady Citri. Hear me out Issei, you are absolutely right, there needs to be love in a relationship, be it parent or child, or even between two life partners. None can be happy if there is no love in a relationship, especially between family members or marriage partners. But not all loving relationships are love at first sight, right Issei? Issei. Yes. You make a point. Lady Citri. Now then, love can also be developed. Usually the latter happens, it takes time, usually you don't even realize when you fall in love, and it is almost inevitable. That is why, I am not asking you to consider this engagement, just take her out for a day, and see how it goes. If it clicks then fine, if it doesn't then you can cancel the engagement. I and my husband will even talk to the council for this. Issei thinks for a moment and sighs. Issei. Fine. I will consider it. Lady Citri. Good then, I hope we can meet soon Issei, you are a nice boy. Goodbye Issei. Issei, very well, goodbye Lady Citri. Issei disconnected the call as Sona asked in a hopeful tone. Sona. So what? Issei. Well. She wants us to date. Sona and Claire. What? Sona and Claire shouted, making everyone flinch, however they calmed down, and Sona then spoke. Sona. So how did this happen? Claire. Even I want to know, Issei. Issei explained the call as Sona sighed. She knew her mother was persistent. Issei then apologized. Issei. I tried to convince her, Sona. I am sorry that I failed. Sona nodded her head sideways as she spoke. Sona. No. It's not your fault, Ice. My mother is really persistent. I should have known it would be pointless. But we still have a chance. Let's see how this date goes. Issei nods as he looks towards Claire, seeing this she sighs as she speaks. Claire. I had a feeling this would happen. Either way, Sona, let's hope that things go well for everyone involved. Sona nods as the two get up and say goodbye to the Citrières, who felt guilty from Claire's tone. Sona felt like she did not seem that happy with this. She could only hope that things go well for all of them. Scene change. Time skip brought to you by Chibi Lord X and Chibi MX, running away from Chibi Sally.exe with a spatula while Chibi Xenophane covers in fear. 5 days later. Unnamed Mall, 7:30 p.m. Issei was standing, waiting for someone. It was a Saturday. He wore a dark blue jacket with a pentagram sign on its left side. He wore an inside t-shirt which was white with red stripes and black jeans. Additionally, he wore shoes which were blue in color and white socks. He was in his other form. Issei. Now, where is she? Issei tapped his foot as he waited for Claire. He then heard a voice. Claire. Hey, Ice. Issei turned to the source of the voice, and there was Claire. There she was. Issei had a blush on the way she looked. She wore a dark red top with a white collar. She wore a black neck piece with a green gem on it. Her top was pulled down near the arm. She wore a black frock and black sunglasses with dark red heels. Issei. Claire. How do I look? Claire spoke with a bit of a blush as Issei spoke. Issei. Amazing. Claire beamed at this as she exclaimed. Claire. Really? I am glad you like it. Claire then asked while looking towards Issei. Claire. So what you have planned for the day? Issei. Well, I have a few things planned for you. I hope you will enjoy them. Claire nods. She was happy that whatever Issei had planned she would enjoy the first place. Scene change. Issei had taken her was to an exotic restaurant as Issei spoke with the receptionist. Issei. Hello, I made 2 reservations for Mr. Issei. The receptionist looked across the bookings and smiled as he spoke. Receptionist. Ah, welcome Mr. Issei. Your seat is near there. The receptionist pointed to a seat near the edge. It was a comfortable restaurant table with a proper view of the outside. It had candles at its center and a white tablecloth on it. And several plates, glasses and napkins. They both took one side of the table. As Issei asked. Issei. Do you like it? Claire. I. Issei looked sad as he spoke. Issei. If you don't like it, we can go somewhere else. Claire nodded her head sideways and spoke. Claire. No. I love it. It's pretty good. Issei smiled and responded. Issei. I am glad you liked it. It was hard to get the reservation of this seat. Issei spoke while rubbing his head. It was hard since he did not want to use magic. He was somehow able to negotiate getting a seat for them. In a fancy restaurant like this. The waiter gave the 2 menus, which they decided to make their orders, as Claire spoke. Claire. Say Issei, how did Asia take this? Issei. Well. I managed to negotiate with her and convince her that I would be taking her out on next Sunday or later, and it was a good thing it was easy, else the apartment would have been on fire. Claire. That's fair, you better make her happy or else. Claire gave a dark glare as Issei gulped. He nodded out of fear as the 2 entities inside the boosted gear were also terrified. Issei then decided to change the subject. Issei. So how is Riser's nightmares? I hope he is fine. Claire. They have started to go. I still don't understand, how can an arcade machine even give nightmares like these? And how the 2 of you were immune to it? Issei. It's because we are demons, Claire. Me and Asia are not affected by these nightmares. It is not a problem for us, but any other race will be having them. As for the reason why, it had a disc that was fueled by demonic energy that gave them nightmares. Azazel Sensei removed it before any further damage could be done. However, there needs to be testing. Issei looked down as he spoke in a tone full of guilt. Issei. But even then, I can't believe that my recklessness got him traumatized. How could I do this to my friend? Claire. Issei. Claire nodded her head and spoke in a firm tone. Claire. Don't blame yourself. I don't think you were aware of the machine's dangerous side effects, and nothing can change what you have done. Issei. But still. Issei continued in a sad tone, as Claire spoke in an annoyed tone before changing into a softer, more compassionate tone. Claire. Stop moping around. Puts hand on Issei's chin. You are not responsible, and besides we are here to enjoy, not remember the past. Issei looked at her and gave a smile. Issei. I guess that's true. Claire smiled and pulled back. As the food came, Claire had ordered a stuffed lobster as her dinner. Issei had ordered a spaghetti with meatball dish. It was a good thing they had came at the same time. Issei. Will you be able to eat with? You know. Claire. Oh, worry not. I can easily eat it with a fork and spoon. I have learned to do this with all kinds of foods. Even Ruvel and Riser can do this. Ravel is still learning. Issei nods as she elegantly eats her food. Issei eats normally as he tries his best to mimic the way Claire ate. As he struggled to do so, he may have done this when he was Zalgo, but since he lacked practice, it was difficult for him to do so. Claire saw this and chuckled as she spoke. Claire. Ice. You don't have to do what I do. Eat at your own pace and enjoy your meal. I will teach you later when we are free, alright? Issei embarrassingly nodded as Claire smiled. She knew that Issei was trying to make her happy. He did not want to embarrass her, he cared for her, and that alone made her happy. Issei ate his food normally as he and Claire enjoyed their food. Claire had some wine as well, while Issei was forced to drink some Pepsi since he was not allowed to drink as he was underage, unlike Claire. Additionally, he couldn't drink since people know him to be underage, and he would be charged and questioned for breaking the law. Once they finished their meal, they paid off their bill, while Claire insisted that she pay the entire bill. However, Issei convinced her to split the bill properly. They headed out of the restaurant as Issei spoke. Issei. So do you wish to have ice cream? Claire looked at him surprised and asked. Claire. Isn't it too late? Asia would be worried. Issei. Oh, worry not, we can eat and reach on time. Claire reluctantly nodded as she headed to the location as he spoke. Issei. Come on Claire, you told us to enjoy, come on, let's have some fun, come on. Claire sighed and smiled as they headed to an ice cream parlor to have some fun. They decided to enjoy the night, as in case they get too late they can just teleport back home. Scene change. Issei and Claire reached the ice cream parlor where they were greeted by the manager as they ordered their ice cream choices. The parlor served them instantly. Issei chose a butterscotch ice cream, which had chocolate syrup on it and several toppings on it, as he liked butterscotch ice cream. Claire had something similar, however instead she had strawberry ice cream, as she had a mint leaf, as well as strawberries. Issei. I never knew you liked strawberry ice cream, Claire. Claire. There are a lot of things you did not know about me, Ice, and I was expecting you to go for chocolate. Issei. And I did, it's on the toppings. Claire. I see. Well, let's enjoy the ice cream. Claire and Issei both had their ice creams, as some of it fell on Claire's face. Issei pointed this out, making her embarrassed. Issei removed it, making her even more embarrassed. She looked away as she was a blushing mess, making Issei chuckle. Claire. It's not funny, Ice. Claire shouted in an flustered tone as Issei spoke. Issei. Sorry. You just seem cute in that form of yours. Claire was steaming when she heard that, as she kept her hand on her reddened face. She was a blushing mess, as she exclaimed. Hanobaka. Issei started laughing even harder as she gave a flustered glare towards Issei, but deep inside she was happy. She never thought she would see this side of Issei, especially after what happened to him. She shook her head remembering those bad memories. The parlor server looked away as he let the couple do what they did. They took a selfie, with Claire intending to make Asia jealous of what they did. They enjoyed their date as they decided to leave outside. Claire spoke. Claire. Well. That was fun, Ice. I loved every single moment of the date. Issei. I am glad you liked it, Claire. Claire. Well, Ice, will you do something for me? Issei flinched as it brought up a small part of his past, his date with a certain crow. He hoped that things would be better. However, he trusted Claire as he then spoke. Issei. Go ahead. Claire came closer as Issei thought. Issei. The moment of truth. Greg. Don't worry, partner, we are with you. Although Claire is not like that crow, worry not. Issei nodded as Claire whispered in his ear. Claire. I want you to take my virginity and first kiss. Issei blushed, however before he could react, Claire forced herself on him as she immediately gave him a French kiss as she made out with him. Having no care in the world, Issei made an illusion barrier so that no one could see them. As he continued to make out with her. They split up after a while due to the lack of air as she spoke in a blushing mess. Claire. Well, that was my first kiss. Issei. Yeah. That was great. Issei responded with an equally flustered tone as Issei then had an idea as he spoke. Issei. Well, let's head home, it's kind of getting late. Claire. Oh. Getting quirky so soon, does my demon king desire to have his queen soon? Blair mused as Issei became even more of a blushing mess, as Issei spoke. Issei? Perhaps. But for now let's head home. Blair chuckled at him, as Issei joined in as well. They then headed home. After a date went well, they decided to head home, knowing that they will possibly have some more enjoyment back home. That's it guys. That was the full stuff. Until the author add more chapters. Take care.